we have already done with few of the basic fundamentals AI tools that like SciSpace and Liptree and Mendeley, right? So these things, I hope everyone is getting my voice.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So today again we will proceed with the further part uh, related with data analytics actually. So before actually starting with my content, first I know all of the students are already been registered and they are engaged in all the research activities. Many of the students might have designed their questionnaire also. They have started gathering the data. Some of might have already gathered the data. Like a variety of students will have at different stages of their research work. So today is very simple topic actually. It is quite easy to learn. It is quite easy to understand, and it is quite helpful whenever we go with the part of the data collection, like previously we have done with the research with review of literature portion in the last session. So as far as review of literature is concerned, it is also very important chapter. But after completion of review of literature, normally we go for the designing of the questionnaire and collection of the data. Like most of the students are from commerce and economics and management portion. So many of the students will be working on the uh, data gathering, data collection. It means survey kind of research most of the students are into. So that's why I thought that this content will be helpful. Like some of the student might have already done with this, some of the students might have little bit knowledge, and some of the students might have no knowledge about these concepts. But I request everyone to be patient, to be calm, and just listen to the content. If you already know, it's better to have a revision. If you don't know, just focus on the things, try to understand, and try to work on the things. Okay. So before actually starting with the practical part, like already in the previous session itself, you might have understood that most of my content will be practical oriented, and mostly I focus on practical approach where how to do the things, right? The theoretical portion will be covered, like many of the researchers, many of the very known researchers are already taken the sessions in this pre-PhD course, so you are already been familiar with the several concept. But just in few minutes, I will start with the first portion, like how to design a questionnaire, which things you should avoid, right? Because designing a question is a very crucial part, and there should not be any kind of bias, or there should not be several questions those are based on similar platforms. For an example, like all the questions are in yes no format, all the questions are in like giving a four options, like very good, good, bad, very bad, these kind of questions, or some questions like on the scale 1 to 10, right? Like when I have gone through the several pre-PhD vivas, we find that the designing of questionnaire is not been taken care of by the students, and later on they feel that this portion is completely irrelevant, or this question is not up to the mark that I wish to do. So better when you are designing the questionnaire, just remember two, three things, and then we'll proceed with the past. First thing is, don't be biased as a researcher. Like bias in the sense, uh, mm, many a times it happens that we don't want to be biased, but when we are asking the question, we automatically tend to be biased. For an example, we ask sometime question, do you like this product? How much do you like this product? It means what? It means always you are in a positive mode, ki whether you are liking it or not, right? So this is a sense of biasness where the question itself suggests that you are biased towards the positive portion of that product. So either positive, either negative, but as a researcher you should be a neutral, and then only you will get a correct information from the respondent, right? So this is my one of the suggestions while designing the questionnaire. And again, questionnaire should be completely relevant with your objectives. That is one of the session, like all the objectives should be covered in your questionnaire, that you should taken care of. And the last thing is, whenever you are collecting a data, make sure that whatever the respondent that you are selecting, like population and everything, you might know, like different, like the statistical experts have already gone through these content and already inform you, already taught you regarding how to get the samples and everything. I won't go in that portion. But once you collect the data, normally today offline collection of data is like normally people collect the data through online questionnaire and mostly through Google form, right? So many of the students have already been familiar with the Google form and they will collect the data through they have collected the data through Google form, right? So once you collect the data, I think Google form, everyone is really familiar with Google form, right? Anyone can give an answer?
Google form in what, which for with respect to Excel, sir?
Yeah, obviously with respect to Excel.
Yes, yes, sir.
Right. Like most of the students are being familiar with the Google form, so I won't go in that portion, right? If you won't be familiar, give a feedback to the coordinator. Accordingly, they will plan the sessions for you. But I think most of the students will be familiar with how to design a Google form for getting the input as a part of your questionnaire. Okay, and Google form can be circulated with the help of email or any other links also. So that is one of the way by which you will gather your data. Once you gather your data, our actual work will start. Because whatever the data that you gather, I will start with my PPT and then we'll go with the option. Okay. Okay. Is this thing visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So once you circulate your questionnaire to the respondent, then respondents feels that questionnaire as per his convenience, and then whatever the information that is being given by the respondent, what are the responses given by the respondent to you uh, regarding your questionnaire, all the responses will be collected in a Excel sheet, right? All the information, right? Or many of the students might have circulated the hard copy of your questionnaire, then they will fill through Google form and then collect the data into Excel. So ultimately what happens to uh, by using any of the mode, whatever the data that you collect ultimately comes to the Excel, right? That is very clear. Like whatever the data that you gather, ultimately it is going to be the collection in terms of Excel sheet only. So from here, our work will start. Data analytics. Again, this is related with some of the portion is related with artificial intelligence itself, but this is like a fundamental portion where like many of the student might have say, sir, we are using SPSS or several other tools that are readily available in the market for better, we can say, analysis of the collected data. But many a times it happens that whatever the research that we do, it may or may not require the bigger tools like what I'm talking about, like SPSS or any other tools. If you are having that tool, you are familiar with that tool, you can go, you can use, no issue with that. But as a very simple, basically a researcher like me, I feel that many a times Excel is also a very powerful tool to perform the data analytics part, because many a times we what happens is we won't use the Excel to its full potential, and that's why we don't know ki, these features are there in Excel. And rather than putting the content in a very bulky application and moving around here and there for the licensing and everything about these bigger tools, we can take the help of Excel itself, so that that will be more easier to work with, and that will be available readily with each and every researcher at their desktop or laptop. And that's why I feel that I should have a session on this data analytics using Excel. So again, I will have a comment on here. Like you, if you are using a SPSS or any other tool, then also it is very fine. If you are comfortable with, then no issue. But what happens is, like what happens with me is also, rather than putting everything in SPSS and again getting a licensing and everything of SPSS is quite difficult. What I feel, I may be wrong, but what I feel, that's why I shifted towards using Excel. And I thought ki Excel also do many of the things to me that will fulfill the requirements of my research, and that's why I shifted to Excel. So once we get our data into the Excel, important part is whatever the respondent gives you, like first thing is, all information will not be correct. This is very sure, because respondent may be in a mood to give the correct data or not. Respondent may be in a, maybe or may not be in a mood to give the correct information, complete information, unbiased information, right? We don't know what type of information is filled by the respondent in our Google form, right? And then only problem starts, because whatever the data that respondent is giving to us, we are supposed to have a faith on that data, because on based on that data only we are going to perform our complete analysis, our result, our findings, our analysis. This everything is based on the data only, right? And that's why the data is very crucial for our PhD work, our research work. And that's why having the data that is being given by the user as it is will be the completely blunder mistake, because it happens ki whatever the data given by the user may not be in a correct format for processing for an application. Students will go with the same data, they will generate graphs, they will put the analysis, they will use lots of tests and generate the result, but their result may not be correct. That you should be care of, because whatever the data that you are gathered, it is not 100% correct in nature. Correct in the sense ambiguity, corrections, the format of the data, the nature of the data, the correctness of the data, completeness of the data, these factors will not be checked, then it becomes blunder. But we are not going to do that part. We are going to check whatever the data that we have gathered through the simple process called as data analytics. And in that, we are going to perform three activities. First, data cleaning, data analysis, and at the last, data visualization. So in today's portion, today's session, we are going to focus on part number one, that is data cleaning. What is this data cleaning is all about, and how to perform the data cleaning in terms of Excel only, obviously. So data cleaning is what? Data cleaning is nothing but some step-by-step process that you are supposed to perform before actually performing any type of analysis on the data. Like, first thing, you are supposed to very sure about the problem statement. Problem statement everyone is aware about, like you are doing a research, so obviously you have already defined your problem statement, what is your purpose of doing this research and what is your expectation from the research, right? Either you want to prove something, either you want to disprove something, either you want to analyze the impact, either you want to identify the we can say that the direction of the particular drug, or direction of the particular product, or the anything. And as per your area, you want to decide something, right? Everything is known, everything is defined in your objectives. So this thing you should be very clear before analyzing. Okay, so these are some theoretical portion actually. Then performing the primary preliminary analysis, fixing misspellings, removing duplicate, checking for bias. This thing I already told you. Okay, whenever you are asking the question, you should not be very biased in nature, or like many a times you are not. You don't want to be biased, but unintentionally it become bias, because when you are asking the question, you are not very sure what you are supposed to be asked, and that's why it becomes bias in nature. So data cleaning is important in a way. Whatever the data that you have been collected, that data is in inappropriate formats many a time. For an example, you are collecting 100 samples. Out of those 100 samples, it may be like 40% respondent has given very accurate, very correct, and 100% information in correct format. Format is also very important, that we are going to learn in further part. Yeah, but many of the time, like 40 to 60% respondent won't give complete information, either incorrect information, either inappropriate information, incorrectly formatted information. So these problems you are supposed to face when you get your data, right? And that time only you are supposed to perform this data cleaning process. So after data cleaning only you are going to go for data analysis. So how to perform the data cleaning? So that those portions we are going to uh, learn for uh, data cleaning. So I will directly shift with the practical portion now. Ki what is this data cleaning is all about, and what are the different small functions or the methods those are been available in our Excel sheet for performing the process of data cleaning. Okay, so I will have one of the samples where how it look like when you get a data. Take me one of the file where I'm having a raw data with me. Okay. Check. Okay, fine. This is a little bit processed data, but I will tell you. So whenever you get information through Google Form, you will generate an Excel sheet, right? At this, इथपर्यंत सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे तुम्हाला. But when you generate an Excel sheet, your Excel sheet will look like this. It will have n number of data, like if you have gathered 400, 500 samples, or whatever the number of samples that you have gathered, your data will look like this, with lots and lots of columns, lots and lots of rows, and different kinds of data, either like yes no kind of data, either like in figures the data, or like designation, or by like whatever the options that you are provided to use, effective, less effective, highly effective, right? So most of the time your Excel sheet will look like this. This is bit of the processed Excel sheet. I will show you the unprocessed Excel sheet also, but your Excel sheet will look like this, right? Whenever you get the data from the user. So we'll directly jump with our actual portion. For an example, when you have gathered the information from the user relevant with your thesis, and you have generated the Excel sheet, your Excel sheet may look like this. I have taken a sample. Okay, this is one of the sample thing. Your data will be vast. This is a very sample Excel sheet with only 33 records, so that you can easily understand how you can perform the data cleaning process through Excel. That's why I have taken a very small data set. But I know when you are doing your PhD work, your data will not be limited with this. But once you know the technique, you can apply that technique on bigger data set also. So your data will look like this. Check this data. Here there are hash. Here is also hash. Here also information is not properly shown. Everything is like spacing is not correct. Here is spacing is not correct. Sometimes you are having blank data. Check this. This is the blank data. User has not filled that data. Because user has not filled this information, this calculation is not going to work for you. And like several others, like check this field. Like user has given information like this, like comma, and then in bracket he has entered the name of a company or anything, right? Or for this data department he has put department name underscore the name of city, right? So it means what? By using, or check this contact data. Here someone has given spaces, someone has entered small caps, capital, again multiple spaces are given, unnecessary spaces are given, either at the end, either at the beginning, either in the middle portion of your data. So your data is completely raw in nature. This is called as raw data. In terms of computer application, we'll call this data as a raw. And this raw data is not really helpful for you in terms of processing or analyzing the content, because based on this data you will get graphs, you will get anything, but it may not be correct, because your data is partially incorrect in nature. And that's why data cleaning is highly crucial in terms of the analysis. Before analysis, your data should be completely cleaned, completely we can say in a well formatted data. Then only you are supposed to fire your analysis portion. So how to clean this data, that we are supposed to learn today. Okay. So this is your Excel sheet. First, we'll go with this portion. Okay. I know these are very basic or simple things, but as I have already given a disclaimer, like many of the students might be aware, some of the students might not aware, or many of the students are completely unaware. So I'm targeting the students who are completely unaware in nature, and accordingly, I'm going to teach you. So check this. This is a date, right? This is a date. It has been hidden many a times. What happens, you will get a data, but it is completely different in nature. I will tell you another example. Check this. Order ID 2E plus 11. It is not expected to be in this format, obviously. How to convert this in actual format like this? Order ID, it's a bigger number, like 10 digit number or 12 digit number. Many times it happens you accept something from user in terms of this 10 or 20 or 12 digit number, and your Excel sheet will show you data like this. So how to convert this data? Just click on this, say format cells. You will get general, number, lots of options. Say number. If you want to have a decimal or information after decimal, you should put 2, otherwise you can say 0 and say okay. Check this. Your order ID, now it is completely in a processed format. So you can process this information for uniqueness of the data. Just you need to select the column, whatever the column that you want to format, and accordingly, whether you want to format like a number, you want to format like a date, or you might have a custom formatting also, right? So these are very small you can say the options, those are available in Excel, and these are very helpful because many times it happens there is a rupee symbol is there, sometimes repo symbol is not entered by the user. So it is very difficult to format the data by manipulating the data, rather than using the word manipulating, like clicking on individual cell and then correcting the data. It is quite difficult because your data is vast in numbers. So at that time, this option is really helpful. So you can check all these options. I will just give one. I already given one option how to use that, but there are several other options also regarding, like you are asking some date from the user when you have purchased that product. Sometimes user, like if you are not really formatted the questionnaire properly, at that time user may enter year first, some may enter date first, some may enter month and year only. So at that time it is very difficult to manage the data in a single format. So you can use this options, format cells. ठीक आहे. सो दिस इज व्हेरी व्हेरी सिम्पल, बेसिक आहे. सगळ्यांना येईल ते, काही अडचण नाही, किंवा खूप लोकांना ही माहिती असेल, हे खूप सोपं आहे. ठीक आहे. सो दिस इज व्हेरी फंडामेंटल क्लिनिंग प्रोसेस. दिस इज व्हेरी फंडामेंटल बिगिनर लेवल क्लिनिंग प्रोसेस. ओके. अगेन we go with our portion. ठीक है. Like here also lots of data is not visible. Lots of data is not visible. So what we do, we'll say control plus A, and there is option called as format. First you need to select sheet, say format. Then there are option called as add to fit row height, and there is option called as add to fit column width. First I will click row height. So you may see the differences here. Check, unnecessary spaces are being automatically deleted. Say add to fit column width. Automatically, whatever the text entered by the user, now that complete text is visible to me, right? This is first thing, because whatever the information entered by the user, that should be visible in nature, that should be visible to you in properly in each and every column. Whatever the information entered by the user, it should be visible. So just you need to select all your data, click on format. There is option called as auto fit row height, and there is option called as auto fit column width. Just click these options. Automatically you can view this complete data in one sec. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. So this is very fundamental option that you can explore. Ki first format your data. You should you should have a view of your data, complete view of your data, so that you can understand ki where the things are going wrong. This first you are supposed to check all your data, ki whether all dates are correctly entered, whether all this name of the client is properly entered. What are the problems? Because before actually cleaning the data, you should identify the problems. What are the problems in my data? Where my data is not in correct format either, or like here, the user has not given the payment option. Here, user had not given you the figure. Here, there is some incorrect calculations, right? Here, data is combined. Here, data is not properly spaced. So these things will be automatically visualized by you once you format your data. So first thing you're supposed to do is format your data. This, ठीक आहे? एवढं कळतंय सगळ्यांना? मध्ये मध्ये फक्त मला यस नो म्हणत चला, म्हणजे तुम्ही माझ्याकडेच लक्ष देता असं मला वाटेल.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
know it's very, I know it's quite difficult to give attention to all 4 lectures throughout the day. But obviously, many a times it happens. It's a learning process. You are supposed to be attentive and try to capture as many as things that will be helpful for your research. Okay, so I will proceed with the next part. So once you've done your formatting, next part that we are going to do is, okay, what we do is, okay, we do this find and replace all portion. Check this portion. What is wrong here? The content wrong here is I don't want this information that is given by the user in this bracket.
हेलो
Yes.
हाँ बोलिए ना
I request again to the all the participant, please mute yourself because disturbing the speaker is not going to help you out. Right. So okay. We are at processing of this column. Check this column. User, what information that we got from user? User has given the name of the client and again in bracket the name of particular organization or something. But this information is not going to help me out. What I want is I want only the name of client. I want only the name of client. I don't want this bracket wala concept. हे bracket मधलं जे आहे ते मला नकोय. But then what is the option with you? एक एक सेल प्रोसेस करा, त्याला डिलीट करा. पण किती डिलीट? If you're having 500 records, is this possible to manually work with this thing? Obviously not. It is a very time consuming process because removing this bracket is going to be hectic task for you because you are having a huge amount of data. Then what is the option? What is the option with you? There is a very simple, very fundamental option available in Excel. Just select the column where you want to perform this operation, and there is option called as find and replace. Many times you have used this option, right? सगळ्यांनी वापरला असेल हे ऑप्शन खूप वेळेस. फक्त आपण थोड्या वेगळ्या पद्धतीने याला वापरण्याचा प्रयत्न करू. Click replace. Okay, once select, first you are supposed to select the column, then select find and replace. You will get an option called as replace and find. What you are supposed to find here, because if you are writing a bracket and a particular name, again it is going to consume your time. Some may side ki sir इथे लिहा XNS colon AMZN, but here information is different. Here information is different. Some bracket will have only 4 characters. Some bracket we are having 7 characters. Some bracket are having 10 characters, right? The number of characters differs. The data is also differing. So replacing individual item is also not going to help you. This will also consume your time, right? So rather than that, there is option like put a bracket because we want to remove the bracket, and then place the star, then again close your bracket. Okay, so opening a bracket, then star, and then closing a bracket. What it represent? It represent whatever or any number of character that comes between opening of the bracket and closing of the bracket, that should be removed from this cell only, this column only, right? So what I'm going to do is, that's why I place one star only. ठीक है ऐसे whether you are having 9 character data, 5 character data, it doesn't matter. Just open the bracket, then star, then close the bracket, and we are going to replace this complete portion with a space. Obviously we are not going to type anything here, just enter a space, just give a space. Okay, first in find what portion you are supposed to give brackets, and within bracket give star. Star represent any character, anything. Then in the second portion, replace with just enter a space. And then we see whether it works or not. Okay, it is not going to find. Check replace all done. We made 31 replacements. And check this column. Check this column. Check this complete column. Before processing, there are brackets and lots of information in this data. Okay, participants are not. So, like all done, we made 31 replacement. It means 31 changes we have done. And check your data. Check your data. Previously, it is having brackets. Check this. Previously, it is having a brackets. But now, we don't have brackets. We are having a clean data. Just very simple option. सोपं आहे पण आपण वापरलं नसेल कधी. बरोबर आहे, मी पण नव्हतं वापरलं. But when we start searching, when we are in a need, then only we search it. So just find and replace. Say replace, place bracket, in the second portion space, and say replace all. Automatically your complete data will be clean. It doesn't matter whether data is of 30 cells or 300 cells or 3000 cells. It doesn't matter. Whatever the data that you select, all data will be replaced. This is one of the requirement. This might be one of your requirement, right? हे करते second option. First, formatting. Second, how to replace a particular thing. Okay, replace is very important option actually. Replace is really an important option. Again, I will tell you one of the okay. Check this. In this data, user has entered the address, but this address, like this address is also there, but this is a complete correct address. Continuously address has been given. Here, user has given the address, but in multiple lines. Here also user has unnecessary entered enter when they are entering your Google Forms, right? असं केलेलं आहे त्यांनी खूप साऱ्या वेळेस. This is not going to help me. This is not going to help me because my data is not uniform in nature. Data is not uniform in nature, right? So again, what we do is select this. Select this. What we are going to solve here? We are going to solve this problem. We are going to make our data like this. This is our problem. The data is in multiple lines. Select. Again, find and replace. Sometimes it works, otherwise it may not work. Actually, space Control J. You're supposed to place Control J and replace. Say all done. We made 13 replacement. So now your data. Check this. Data is continuous in nature. Data is continuous in nature. Previously, it was data spread across multiple lines. It is not because of the width of column. सब में से कि सर width of column की वजह से ऐसा दिख रहा है, वैसा नहीं है. यूजर ने spaces दिए unnecessary. That's why that data is shown like that. Okay. So how to do that? You are supposed to again go to find and replace. In find what? You are supposed to press Control plus J. Remember that you are supposed to place in click find and what and press on your keyboard Control plus J. Remember that Control plus J, or you can note down somewhere Control plus J, and in replace with you don't have to enter anything and just say replace all. Automatically the complete data that is spread across multiple lines will be corrected in a single line. Okay, this is again a very small option. Again, one of my problem is unnecessary unnecessary lines, right? How to solve that problem? Unnecessary lines. आप बोलेंगे सर ऐसा करो, यहाँ पे राइट बटन क्लिक करके डिलीट कर दो, हो जाएगा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व. हो जाएगा, लेकिन ये प्रॉब्लम होगा ऐसा आप करेंगे जब आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन छोटा है, यू आर हैविंग वेरी स्मॉल इंफॉर्मेशन. बट अगर आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन, फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर हैविंग 1000 रिकॉर्ड्स and in between that file there are several blank rows, आप क्या करेंगे? एक एक फॉर्मेट करेंगे क्या? एक एक डिलीट करेंगे क्या? Obviously not. You are not going to do that. Then how to do it? By shortcut method. Just see Control A. You're supposed to select. There is option called as filter. Say filter. Once you say filter, automatically filter option सबको पता होगा, but still नहीं पता होगा तो I will elaborate on filter option also कि कैसे करना है आपको. पहले करिए Control A. You will select your data, then say click filter. Automatic once you say filter, you will get these type of filters. ऐसे filters मिलेंगे आपको यहाँ पे, ठीक है? These filters are really helpful, really helpful. अभी कैसे helpful है आपको बोलता हूँ, ठीक है? For an example, first we solve this problem, then I will elaborate on filter. This is our problem. We need to delete these cells, right? This is our problem. Say कहीं पे भी क्लिक करिए, कहीं पे भी यहाँ पे क्लिक करेंगे. चेक दिस. ऐसा है. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट यहाँ पे देखिए आखिरी में आ रहा है ब्लैंक्स आ रहा है. पहले हम करेंगे इसको अनसेलेक्ट, सभी को अनसेलेक्ट करेंगे, फिर करेंगे ब्लैंक को सेलेक्ट एंड से ओके. क्या दिख रहा है अभी? सिर्फ ब्लैंक वाला. ये मैंने सेलेक्ट नहीं किया था इसलिए नहीं आ रहा है, ठीक है? ब्लैंक वाला आ रहा है, ठीक है? अभी ब्लैंक वाले जितने भी रो होंगे आपके, 10 होंगे, 5 होंगे, 100 होंगे, सभी आएंगे. सब क्या करेंगे? सिर्फ इसको सेलेक्ट करिए, ठीक है? देन अगेन सेलेक्ट ऑल. ओके, फाइन है. अभी डेटा यहाँ पे ब्लैंक रोज है नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं किया हमने. बहुत सिंपल सा ऑप्शन एक्सप्लोर किया है. जस्ट क्लिक ऑन दिस अनसेलेक्ट ऑल एंड देयर इज ऑप्शन एट द एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड एज ब्लैंक्स. उस पर क्लिक करिए. ऑटोमेटिकली वॉट एवर द ब्लैंक रोज आर देयर दैट विल बी शोन टू यू एंड अकॉर्डिंगली यू कैन प्रोसेस. ठीक है? क्लियर है? अभी थोड़ा एक 10-5 मिनट, आई विल टेक 5 मिनट्स फॉर explaining this concept of filters. I know filters are very commonly used concept, but still I thought this concept is also helpful for you. In terms of visualization, this concept is really helpful. For an example, we are having a filter here. Okay. For example, we are having a filter where one question is asked to the user and that question is having 5 options and user has selected different options. But I want to view only the users who have selected this option, 25% of the project. I will unselect all and then select this only. Check this. All the records with this particular field. All the record with this particular field. So this is going to help you. So you can place this kind of filters. You can clear. Okay. Once you want data, if you are not very sure, then क्या करेंगे आप लोग? सिंपल करिए. आपको जो ओरिजिनल फाइल होगा एक्सेल का उसका एक कॉपी बनाइए और उस पर प्रैक्टिस करिए, सो दैट अगर कुछ इनकरेक्ट भी होता है, रॉन्ग भी होता है ना, तो आपका ओरिजिनल जो कॉपी है आपको बचा रहेगा। सो दिस इज वेरी सिंपल फिल्टर ऑप्शन। filter के साथ साथ you can have this sorting also. Many times you need this kind of concept, sort. For an example here, sort A to Z. Check this, automatically my data has been A to Z sorted as per this column, as per this column company ने मेरा data sort हो गया। I know these are very basic options, but आपको I know these are also very useful। तो इस तरीके से आप क्या कर सकते हैं, डेटा को फिल्टर कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, तो ये वाला प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो गया हमारा। अगेन विल गो विथ आवर बैक टू आवर ओरिजिनल एक्सेल। कहाँ पे गया अपना, ये वाला, सॉरी ये वाला। ठीक है, ये वाला प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो गया हमारा। अननेसेसरी ब्लैंक स्पेस आते वो वाला भी सॉल्व हो गया। ठीक है, अभी चलते ही ये वाले प्रॉब्लम के पास। अभी इसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है, इसमें प्रॉब्लम जैसे मैंने बोला है, बिल स्मिथ, TH कैपिटल लिखा है वहां पे, अननेसेसरी स्पेस दिया है इनिशियल में, यहाँ पे अननेसेसरी बीच में स्पेस दिया है, यहाँ पे अननेसेसरी पूरा कैप्स है, यहाँ पे अननेसेसरी अगेन स्मॉल कैप्स का कॉम्बिनेशन है। सो इफ यू आर गोइंग टू मैन्युअली फॉर्मेट दिस कंटेंट, इट इज हाईली इम्पॉसिबल इन नेचर। आपको हर एक चीज एक एक करना पड़ेगा, राइट? सो फॉर दैट अगेन वी आर हैविंग वेरी सिंपल ऑप्शंस विद अस। ओके, आई विल मेक अनदर रो, सॉरी कॉलम। ओके, एक एक फंक्शन बताऊंगा। सबसे पहले हम क्या करते हैं, विल यूज द फंक्शन कॉल्ड एज इक्वल टू। देखिए एक्सेल में सबको पता है, वॉट एवर द फंक्शंस यू आर सपोज टू राइट, यू नीड टू राइट इक्वल। इक्वल, you need to write proper. There is a function called as proper, PROPER, automatically it is going to pop up proper। क्या प्रॉपर करना है आपको, प्रॉपर देन टेक्स्ट, व्हाट विच टेक्स्ट यू आर सपोज टू मेक प्रॉपर, ये वाला, ये वाला, इट मींस डी। डी कौन सा, 3। either you can directly click D3 or type D3, fine। proper into the bracket whatever the cell that you want to format, D3, press enter, check the difference। एक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हुआ यहाँ पे, ITH वाला ऑटोमेटिकली अच्छा हो गया, प्रॉपर हो गया वो, राइट? बट ये इनिशियल वाला स्पेस हुआ है क्या, नहीं हुआ है। ठीक है, पहले एक एक सॉल्व करेंगे एंड देन जस्ट क्लिक हियर, एरो एट स्मॉल प्लस वाला साइन आ जाएगा, ड्रैग करिए इसको। ठीक है, तो जो कैपिटल स्मॉल वाला जो है, देखिए कैपिटल स्मॉल वाला करेक्ट होगा, फॉर्मेटिंग देखिए। चेक दिस, कंपेयर दिस टू कॉलम्स, यू विल गेट अ डिफरेंस। कंपेयर दिस टू, यहाँ पे देखिए चेंज हुआ, यहाँ पे देखिए करेक्ट हुआ, हियर आल्सो, हियर आल्सो। सो अकॉर्डिंगली दिस प्रॉपर फंक्शन, इंपॉर्टेंट इज प्रॉपर फंक्शन का नाम है प्रॉपर, PROPER एंड द सेल। ठीक है, और योर रिक्वायरमेंट इज लाइक, मुझे प्रॉपर नहीं करना है, मुझे थोड़ा अलग करना है, मुझे करना है all I need is my complete data should be in lower case only, that is my requirement। तो लिखेंगे आप lower into the bracket again D3, sorry D3 bracket close। check this, lower, all data in lower। प्रॉपर करेंगे तो प्रॉपर आ जाएगा, सिर्फ लोअर करेंगे तो सब कुछ लोअर दिखेगा। देखिए अभी ऑल डेटा इन लोअर केस, इफ यू दिस इज योर रिक्वायरमेंट, ऑब्वियसली अगर ऐसा रिक्वायरमेंट होगा तो ही ऐसा करिए, अदरवाइज ऐसा मत करिए। या फिर आपका रिक्वायरमेंट है पूरा मुझे कैपिटल चाहिए सर, से अपर, फंक्शन का नाम देखिए UPPER, अपर। अगर लोअर करना है तो लोअर यूज करिए, अपर करना है तो अपर यूज करिए और ड्रैग करिए। ठीक है, ऑल डेटा इन कैपिटल। ठीक है, तो ये है कुछ फंक्शंस, लेकिन ये फंक्शन से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, सॉरी ये वाला हमने यूज किया था प्रॉपर, प्रॉपर D3। ठीक है, प्रॉपर D3, इससे एक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व। लेकिन इंपॉर्टेंट प्रॉब्लम है ये स्पेसिंग वाला, अननेसेसरी स्पेसिंग वाला ये जो प्रॉब्लम है, इसको कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे? तो इसको सॉल्व करेंगे यहाँ पे। तो फर्स्ट आई विल शो विदाउट प्रॉपर, ठीक है, पहले तो थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन कम होगा। हम करेंगे ट्रिम, फंक्शन का नाम है ट्रिम, TRIM, ट्रिम। ट्रिम दिस सेल, ब्रैकेट क्लोज। फंक्शन लिखना है हमेशा ब्रैकेट ओपन, ब्रैकेट क्लोज करना ही पड़ेगा आपको, अदरवाइज एरर देगा। ट्रिम, अभी देखिए ट्रिम से क्या हुआ, माई स्पेस इज डिलीटेड ऑटोमेटिकली, स्पेस इज डिलीटेड। ड्रैग करेंगे, चेक, पहले वाला स्पेस, बीच वाला स्पेस, अननेसेसरी स्पेस, सिंपल वर्ड में unnecessary spacing will be automatically deleted and this is going to help you for processing, better processing। ठीक है, तो फंक्शन का नाम है ट्रिम, याद रखिए फंक्शन का नाम है ट्रिम। लेकिन मुझे दोनों काम करने हैं, मुझे ये स्मॉल कैपिटल वाला भी करना है और ये ट्रिम वाला भी करना है। तो क्या करेंगे, सिर्फ ट्रिम के अंदर लिखेंगे प्रॉपर, ट्रिम के अंदर लिखेंगे प्रॉपर, ठीक है, प्रॉपर ट्रिम, ट्रिम के अंदर प्रॉपर और D3, इंटर प्रेस करिए। अभी देखिए बिल स्मिथ, TH भी हो गया स्मॉल, प्रॉपर हो गया, ठीक है। चेक डेटा, वेल फॉर्मेटेड, नो स्पेसिंग, नो कैपिटल स्मॉल इशू, everything is solved। Just you need to use function called as trim and function called as proper, trim and proper। ठीक है, आ रहा है कॉन्सेप्ट ध्यान में? एक एक पढ़ेंगे, आप याद रखिए ये चीज, या इधर आप यहाँ पे लिख के रखिए। देखिए एक्सेल विल हैव लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ फंक्शंस, हर एक फंक्शन हम याद नहीं रख सकते, लेकिन कुछ फंक्शन है जो उसको सिर्फ नोट डाउन करके बाजू में रखिए, एंड व्हेन यू आर इन नीड ऑफ दैट फंक्शन यू कैन हैव अ गूगल, यू विल गेट अ फॉर्मेट। जरूरी नहीं कि मैं पढ़ाऊंगा और आपको पूरे याद आ जाएगा, ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है। जस्ट रिमेंबर द नेम ऑफ फंक्शन, कि इससे ये काम हो सकता है। ओके, ठीक है, तो ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो गया हमारा। चलिए, आप बोलेंगे सर ये सॉल्व हो गया, इसको डिलीट कर दीजिए अभी। ये देखिए इसको डिलीट किया, क्या हुआ, रेफ 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 रेफ, क्यों? बिकॉज आई हैव गिवन अ रेफरेंस, ये D3 यहाँ का रेफरेंस है, और ओरिजिनल डेटा डिलीट कर दिया तो ये काम नहीं करेगा। तो क्या करेंगे आप, सिंपल करिए इसको, से कॉपी, ओके, से कॉपी, अगेन क्लिक ऑन द सेम कॉलम एंड से डायरेक्टली, डोंट से पेस्ट, डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल भी मत करिए, से वैल्यूज, देयर इज ऑप्शन, पेस्ट स्पेशल में ऑप्शन है वैल्यूज, से वैल्यूज एंड देन डिलीट, चेक, फाइन। अभी रेफरेंस वाला एरर नहीं देगा, क्यों नहीं देगा? क्योंकि हमने उसका रेफरेंस हटा दिया, अभी सिर्फ वैल्यूज लिए है, ठीक है। ये अगेन एक सिंपल, पेस्ट स्पेशल भी बहुत अच्छा ऑप्शन है, पेस्ट स्पेशल, वो ये भी याद रखिए आप लोग। चलिए अभी थोड़ा नेक्स्ट वाला प्रॉब्लम हम सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं। दिस इज माय प्रॉब्लम, ये देखिए, व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम हियर? प्रॉब्लम इज, check this problem, there is some name underscore name of a city, again every field have some name and underscore city, बट आई वॉन्ट दिस अंडरस्कोर के आगे वाला पोर्शन जो है दैट इज सिटी, आई वॉन्ट टू प्रोसेस इट सेपरेटली, मुझे सिटी नाम का एक अलग से कॉलम चाहिए, आई वॉन्ट लाइक दिस सिटी, टेक्सास, न्यूयॉर्क, इस तरीके से चाहिए मुझे सिटी, ठीक है, इस तरीके से अलग अलग चाहिए, आई डोंट वांट कंबाइन। मैन्युअली करेंगे ऑब्वियसली इट इज गोइंग टू बी हेक्टिक टास्क, मे बी ऐसा हो सकता है यहाँ पे कॉमा हो सकता है, यहाँ पे स्पेस हो सकता है, यहाँ पे कोई पर्टिकुलर वर्ड हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है ना, कुछ भी हो सकता है, दैट इज कंबाइनिंग दीज टू थिंग्स, दैट इज कंबाइनिंग दीज टू थिंग्स। कॉम्बिनेशन वाला ऑपरेटर कौन सा भी हो सकता है, जहां जैसे यहाँ पे अंडरस्कोर आया है, कहीं पे स्पेस आ सकता है, समटाइम इट इज कॉमा, समटाइम इट इज डबल कोट, एनीथिंग, कुछ भी आ सकता है, तो आप किसी को भी प्रोसेस कर सकते हैं। कैसे करना है, जस्ट प्लेस अ न्यू कॉलम, जैसे मैंने अभी किया है, इसको सेलेक्ट करिए, ठीक है, ये ऊपर वाला हाइड हो जाता है, सेलेक्ट, there is option called as data. Select your column, and there is option in your Excel called as data. Data is very important for our research purpose. This data field वाला बहुत ही important है. ठीक है, click on data. थोड़ा स्पीड बढ़ाएंगे हम, बहुत स्लो चल रहा है हमारा. ठीक है, डेटा, क्योंकि बहुत सारा पोर्शन बाकी है. से यहाँ पे देखिए ऑप्शन दिख रहा है, टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम्स. टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम्स क्लिक करेंगे, टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम पे देयर इज ऑप्शन कॉल्ड एज डिलिमिटेड. देखिए फिर से बताता हूं मैं आपको. डेटा, टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम्स, पहले सेलेक्ट करिए कॉलम को, टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम्स से डिलिमिटेड, से नेक्स्ट. You will have lots of options here. How to segregate your data. ठीक है, so I want to segregate my data with underscore, right? So I will say other, और यहाँ पे I will place underscore. Once I place underscore, check here. Automatically क्या हुआ यहाँ पे? There is a change. There is a change, right? If you want to segregate by semicolon, check semicolon. कॉमा से करना है कॉमा से दीजिए, स्पेस से करना है स्पेस से दीजिए. लेकिन मुझे किससे करना है? मुझे करना है अंडरस्कोर से. That's why I have clicked other. Okay, as per your need you have to use this option. Okay, and then say next, and then say finish. Okay, it is, you are supposed to give the new cell. You are supposed to give the new cell. Next, next. ठीक है, रिप्लेस करना है तो रिप्लेस हो जाएगा. चेक दिस. What is our previous data? This is our data. Department name underscore city name, and now our data is like this. City. Check complete data. कितने भी रो होने दो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Automatically it is been separated by city. सिंपल है, सिंपल ऑप्शन है. सेलेक्ट करिए, से डेटा, से टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम, एंड ऑटोमेटिकली यू कैन सेग्रीगेट योर डेटा. आ रहा है समझ में? सिंपल ऑप्शन है. दैट इज, इसको बोलते हैं डिलिमिट. दिस ऑप्शन इज कॉल्ड एज डिलिमिट ऑप्शन. So delimit can be used as per your need. As per your need. If you want to separate by comma, again I will give a very useful example. Okay. Many times this problem happens. That's why I will take this example. Check this. Check this. देखिए, what is the problem here? User ने क्या किया है? Name में मिस्टेक किया है. सेपरेटेड बाय कॉमा, एंड देन मिस्टर मिसेस वाला बाद में आया है और उसका सरनेम पहले आ रहा है. राइट, ओनली बिकॉज इनपुट इनकरेक्ट दिया, या फिर जो आपने फील्ड बनाया था वो इनकरेक्ट बनाया था. एंड दिस प्रॉब्लम इज ऑकरिंग. हाउ टू सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम? जस्ट सेलेक्ट, से डेटा, से टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम. ओके, first I will insert a row here. Okay, select text to column, say next. Then here I want to segregate my data by with the help of semicolon. That's why I will select semicolon now, because there is no underscore to separate. There is a semicolon to separate. I will say semicolon. Say next. Sorry. It is not semicolon, it is comma. Okay, comma. Check here automatically. Next. Check this data. Check this data. This is surname. This is name. Mr. Mrs. से शुरू हो रहा है. इफ योर रिक्वायरमेंट कि हाँ सर मुझे सरनेम और उसके साथ कंटिन्यूअस ने आगे नेम इसके ये चाहिए, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मिस्टर ओविस हैरिस ब्राउडन, ऐसा चाहिए, इसको कनेक्ट करना है, तो कनेक्ट भी कर सकते हैं. ऐसा नहीं कि सेग्रीगेट ही कर सकते, कनेक्ट भी कर सकते. देयर इज ऑप्शन कॉल्ड एज कॉनकैट. देयर इज ऑप्शन कॉल्ड एज कॉनकैट. यू कैन यूज द ऑप्शन कॉनकैट. एक सिंपल, एक मिनट में आपको दिखाता हूँ. कॉनकैट, कॉनकैट. Okay, check this. There is option called as Jones, and binder, Jones and binder. There are two values in two different columns, but I want to have a combination of this. मुझे combine करना है. ठीक है, combine करना है, space से भी combine कर सकते हैं, लेकिन मैंने simple combine किया. You are supposed to use the function called as concatenate. Remember the name of function called as concatenate. And what, in which sequence you need to concat? फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल, पहले मुझे चाहिए C7, यानी ये वाला चाहिए, पहले मुझे जॉन चाहिए तो C7 पहले लिखा है, बाद में मुझे चाहिए ये वाला तो D7 बाद में लिखा है. अगर आपको जरूर नहीं है कि पहले ये वाला चाहिए बाद में ये वाला, आप जो पहले चाहिए वो पहले लिखिए और जो बाद में चाहिए वो बाद में लिखिए एंड से इंटर. ऑटोमेटिकली यू विल गेट रिस्पॉन्स लाइक दिस. दिस इज योर कॉन्केटिनेटेड डेटा. ठीक है, इसमें स्पेस भी डाल सकते हैं, बहुत सारे ऑप्शन है, वो अभी नहीं बताता हूँ, अभी आगे चलते हैं थोड़ा. ठीक है, सो सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसीलिए थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम दिया मैंने यहाँ पे. ओके, वेयर इज आवर डेटा, दिस वन. क्लियर? ठीक है, सिटी इज सेग्रीगेटेड. वन मोर प्रॉब्लम ऑकर्स. यूजर में फिल योर डेटा मल्टीपल टाइम्स. ऐसा हो सकता है बहुत बार, एक ही यूजर क्या करता है, बार बार वही डेटा फिल करता है, उसको लगता है पहला डेटा सबमिट नहीं हुआ है या कुछ गलत हुआ है, ऐसा लगता है उसको. ऐसा होता है बहुत बार कि एक्चुअल डेटा समझो आपको दिखा रहा है 410 सैंपल्स, लेकिन 400 लोगों ने डेटा फिल किया है. 10 सैंपल्स मेरे क्या है, एक्स्ट्रा है, रिडंडेंट है. रिडंडेंट यानी सेम इंफॉर्मेशन इज इंटर्ड बाय द यूजर मल्टीपल टाइम्स. हाउ टू रिमूव दैट रिडंडेंट डेटा? इट इज क्वाइट हेक्टिक. आपको एक एक देखना पड़ेगा कि कौन सा रो में करेक्ट से सेम डेटा आ रहा है. अगर 1000 रिकॉर्ड है तो हाउ टू चेक इट? इट इज हाईली डिफिकल्ट टू चेक दैट रिडंडेंट डेटा. देन हाउ टू रिमूव दैट रिडंडेंट डेटा? कैसे रिमूव करेंगे? एक सिंपल सा ऑप्शन बताता हूं आपको. से कंट्रोल ए, सेलेक्ट करिए इसको, अगेन क्लिक ऑन डेटा, डेटा पे क्लिक करिए और यहां पे आइए. देयर इज ऑप्शन कॉल्ड एज रिमूव डुप्लीकेट्स. देयर इज ऑप्शन कॉल्ड एज रिमूव डुप्लीकेट्स. क्लिक करिए इस पे. there are multiple options by which you want to remove duplicates. For an example, there is some id kind of thing. आपको id, सिर्फ id जो रिपीट हुआ है उसको ही डिलीट करना है तो वैसा करिए, या पूरा डेटा सेम है तो ही डिलीट करना है तो आप सभी कॉलम्स को चेक रखिए. इफ यू वांट टू डिलीट द डेटा that is completely same in nature in all the columns, then you are supposed to select all the columns. अगर पर्टिकुलर कॉलम में रिपीट आ रहा है, अगर वो डिलीट करना है तो आप पर्टिकुलर कॉलम को ही सेलेक्ट करिए. मुझे क्या करना है, मुझे कंप्लीट डेटा तो जो रिपीट हुआ है, कंप्लीट इंफॉर्मेशन दैट इज रिपीटेड बाय द यूजर, आई वांट टू डिलीट दैट. अगर होगा तो हाँ, नहीं होगा तो आई विल इंसर्ट एंड अगेन अगेन आई विल शो यू. सो से ओके, check this. 3 duplicate values found and removed, 28 unique value remain. It means अपने डेटा में 3 रो ऐसे थे, those are duplicate in nature, so automatically this will remove. अगेन कंट्रोल जेड करता हूं, ये देखिए 33 रिकॉर्ड दिख रहे हैं यहाँ पे. अभी कौन से 3 है मुझे नहीं पता, आई डोंट नो, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दिस ऑप्शन इज हेल्पफुल, बिकॉज व्हेन यू डोंट नो, let the tool help you. Just select control A, data, remove duplicates, say okay. ठीक है, सिंपल ऑप्शन है. चलिए और थोड़ा आगे चलते हैं. देन माय नेक्स्ट प्रॉब्लम इज ये वाला. दिस इज माय प्रॉब्लम. डेटा आई कैन नॉट प्रोसेस बिकॉज बीच बीच में कुछ यूजर ने डेटा फिल ही नहीं किया है, डेटा. व्हाट इज द सॉल्यूशन? एक एक सेल पे जाइए, से नॉट एप्लीकेबल, दूसरे सेल पे जाइए, से नॉट एप्लीकेबल. कितने सेल पे जाएंगे ऐसा? Obviously it is very time consuming in nature, because if you are assuming thousands of records in there in your Excel sheet, you don't know where is your blank space, right? Then how to solve this problem? Very simple option. Say control A, select करिए पूरा, then go to home, then go to again find and select, but here you are supposed to go to spatial. Click find and select, go to spatial. There is option called as blanks. कैसे जाना है देखिए, पहले सेलेक्ट करिए कंट्रोल ए, देन गो टू फाइंड एंड सेलेक्ट, देन गो टू स्पेशल्स, देन गो टू ब्लैंक्स, से ओके. वंस वी डू दिस, ऑटोमेटिकली जितने भी ब्लैंक स्पेस है वो क्या हो जाएंगे, सेलेक्ट हो जाएंगे, जितने भी ब्लैंक है। एंड इन ऑल द ब्लैंक स्पेस आई नीड टू इंटर एन ए मुझे एन ए एंटर करना है। आपको कुछ ब्लैंक स्पेस रखना है, ब्लैंक रखिए, कुछ और डालना है वो डालिए, जो भी डालना है वो यहाँ पे लिखिए। एंड क्लिक कंट्रोल इंटर, कंट्रोल, just don't say enter, say control enter. Once I say control enter, check na जितने भी होंगे सब जगह पे क्या आएगा, नॉट एप्लीकेबल। अगर आप बोलेंगे सर मुझे यहाँ पे नॉट एप्लीकेबल नहीं, जीरो चाहिए था, तो क्या करेंगे फिर, इसी को सेलेक्ट करिए सिर्फ और वहां से बोलिए एंड क्लिक से जीरो, कंट्रोल इंटर, ऑटोमेटिकली नंबर की जगह पे एन आएगा, जीरो आएगा। आई हैव जस्ट शोन यू वन ऑफ द एग्जांपल्स, यू कैन यूज एज पर योर नीड। ओके, ये मैंने सिर्फ एग्जांपल बोला है आपको। अगर आपका रिक्वायरमेंट है मुझे एन ए डालना है, अगर किसी का रिक्वायरमेंट है सर मुझे यहाँ पे जहां जहां नंबर वाला फील्ड है वहां पे जीरो लिखना है, तो क्या करेंगे, सेलेक्ट करिए, अगेन गो फाइंड एंड सेलेक्ट, से गो टू स्पेशल, फिर ब्लैंक, अगर ये ब्लैंक होना चाहिए ऑब्वियसली, देन से ब्लैंक एंड इंटर जीरो, क्लिक कंट्रोल प्लस इंटर, एट द एंड यू आर सपोज टू क्लिक कंट्रोल प्लस इंटर, कीबोर्ड पे कंट्रोल प्लस इंटर प्रेस करिए, देन ओनली दिस इज गोइंग टू वर्क, अदरवाइज दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क फॉर यू। ठीक है, दिस ऑप्शन इज डन। चलिए, ये वाला तो इजीली सॉल्व हो जाएगा आपका। ठीक है, अभी ये वाला मेरा प्रॉब्लम है। मेनी टाइम दिस प्रॉब्लम ऑकर्स, आता है ऐसा प्रॉब्लम कि कुछ वैल्यूज नहीं है इसीलिए ये इनकरेक्ट दिखाता है। आइदर यहाँ पे जीरो करिए तो सॉल्व हो जाएगा, या फिर अगर आपको जीरो नहीं करना, ऐसा रखना है और फिर भी इसको सॉल्व करना है, तो कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे। यहाँ पे आई हैव ऑलरेडी पुट अ फॉर्मूला, यहाँ पे मैंने फॉर्मूला लगाया है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दिस वैल्यू इज नॉट प्रेजेंट, इट शोज एरर, बट आई वांट टू हैंडल दिस एरर। हाउ टू हैंडल दिस एरर, यहाँ पे क्लिक करेंगे, से इफ एरर, फंक्शन का नाम है इफ एरर, ब्रैकेट कॉमा, इफ देयर इज एन एरर आई वांट टू शो, आप यहाँ पे ब्लैंक दिखा सकते हैं या कुछ टेक्स्ट भी दिखा सकते हैं, राइट। ठीक है, आई वांट टू शो ब्लैंक, इफ देयर इज एन एरर डोंट शो एनीथिंग, check my function, if error, then my formula, comma, double quote, blank, you can place na anything, जो भी आपको प्लेस करना आहे जे तुम्हाला पाहिजे ते लिहा तिथे। आता काय होईल, जिथे जिथे एरर येईल तिथे काय होईल, ब्लँक होऊन जाईल ते। आता आपल्या इथे एरर आहे तर काय व्हायला पाहिजे, ब्लँक व्हायला पाहिजे। खाली पण एरर आहे, दोन ठिकाणी एरर आहे। चेक दिस, चेक दिस, ऐसे कितने भी एरर हो गए आपके प्रोग्राम में तो ऑटोमेटिकली ऑल एरर्स विल बी रिमूव्ड ऑटोमेटिकली। जस्ट यू नीड टू यूज अ फंक्शन कॉल्ड एज इफ एरर, इफ एरर नाम का फंक्शन यूज करिए, इफ एरर। ठीक है, यहां तक आ रहा है समझ में क्या चल रहा है तो। ठीक है, सिंपल सिंपल ऑप्शंस है। देखिए अपना डेटा हो गया अच्छा फॉर्मेट अभी। नाउ यू कैन प्रोसेस, नाउ यू कैन प्रोसेस दिस डेटा, बिकॉज दिस डेटा इज नाउ इन अ बिट क्लीन फॉर्मेट। जो जैसा जैसा मुझे प्रोसेसिंग करना है अकॉर्डिंगली आई हैव क्लीन माय डेटा, राइट। बहुत सारा डेटा मेरा भी क्लीन हो चुका है यहाँ पे, इफ एरर वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह। अभी क्या करेंगे हम, अभी एक सिंपल सा ऑप्शन बोलता हूं आपको, दैट माइट बी हेल्पफुल फॉर यू, कि ठीक है, से कंट्रोल ए, नाउ माय डेटा इज क्लीन, I want to process my data. How to process? Simple. There is option called as insert pivot table. It is very, very important. Say select all your Excel sheet. Say pivot. Why you are supposed to use the pivot table? Very simple reason. But because if you are having 1,000 lines of data and you want to create automatic tables, because at the end you are supposed to create tables, and based on tables you are supposed to create graphs, right? This is your process, and based on graph you need to have a write up conclusion portion. So once you have a clean data, say pivot table, my data is selected and I will say new worksheet. Okay, okay, you will get something like this, but I want to have different tables, मुझे अलग अलग टेबल चाहिए। I want to count, I want a count of different departments. How many respondents are from big data department? How many departments are from cloud tech department? I want to have a number. Sum चाहिए मुझे. Sum कैसा निकालेंगे? Obviously, it is quite difficult to. Sorry, कहाँ पे गया हूँ? This one. Okay. Where is this one? How many students are there with big data department? How to give a count? It is very difficult. एक एक काउंट करेंगे क्या? Obviously not. अगर 1000 रिकॉर्ड है तो कैसे काउंट करेंगे? नहीं काउंट कर सकते. तो सिंपल काम करेंगे. Check this department and I want to count. To count values. Check this. क्या किया मैंने? Select and say values. उसको drag करके values में लाइए यहाँ पे. There is option called as values. This is a row जो मुझे यहाँ पे चाहिए and this is a values. It will give a count of department. So automatically I will get a count. आया मेरे पास count 28. You can cross check. हमारे पास कितने records थे? Sorry. Obviously 28 records थे. ऊपर वाला 2-3 ये है इसलिए 28 records है मेरे पास because this is 1 and 2. 30 में से 2 गए 28 records मेरे पास. So sum is 28 and this is my count. And based on this, just generate a graph. Where is my graph? Okay. So I want to generate like this. Fine. Big data, cloud tech, operation strategy. कॉपी करिए इसको वर्ड में लेके जाइए. टेबल को कॉपी करिए वर्ड में लेके जाइए. इसको कॉपी करिए वर्ड में लेके जाइए. Very easy, very simple. In this way, you can generate your tables very, very quickly. Very quickly. For an example, I want to have a table with multiple things. सिर्फ डिपार्टमेंट ही नहीं मल्टीपल वाला चाहिए मुझे. सिटी. आई वांट सिटी मुझे कॉलम में चाहिए. चेक दिस. ऊपर में सिटी, लेफ्ट साइड में डिपार्टमेंट एंड डेटा एज पर डिपार्टमेंट एंड एज पर सिटी. कंबाइंड डेटा, कंबाइंड टेबल. It is very difficult to format that table with simple Excel. बहुत difficult है. If you use this option called as pivot table, it is highly important. अगर किसी को पता होगा, मे भी पता भी होगा सबको, I know, but still अगर किसी को नहीं है, पूरे बैच में से अगर 2 लोगों को भी पता नहीं होगा तो for them this thing is there for them. Just select your data, say pivot table, and use this operations from here. Filters, columns, rows, whatever the data that you want to put, just drag this or select and accordingly put. अगर आपको डिपार्टमेंट इधर चाहिए और सिटी इधर चाहिए, जस्ट उसको ड्रैग करिए अकॉर्डिंगली. देखिए दिस इज सिटी, दिस इज डिपार्टमेंट एंड काउंट ऑटोमेटिकली कम्स. सेलेक्ट करिए एंड अगेन सेम इंसर्ट एंड वॉट एवर द चार्ट दैट सूट्स दिस टेबल यू कैन इंसर्ट. उसको कॉपी करिए एंड पेस्ट करिए. इजी है, वेरी सिंपल एंड इट इज रियली रियली हेल्पफुल. एक्चुअली बहुत हेल्पफुल है ये. ठीक है, ये समझ में आ रहा है सबको? ये वाला सिर्फ इसके लिए हाँ या ना बोलिए. चलिए, ये समझ में आया सबको? है क्या? सब लोग है क्या? चले गए? ओके ओके ओके. वन सेक वन सेक वन सेक वन सेक. Okay. I find your problem. Actually, do you? I have mute you. So you are not in a position to give me the answer. Okay, let it be. I'm not getting the option to unmute all. So no issue. So this is your Excel sheet, and from this Excel sheet, we are going to create these tables. Okay. So once we get, I think I should unmute someone so that Where is the option to unmute all? Option. Is there anyone that is unmute now? Actually, I'm not getting the option how to unmute. Okay, rather than wasting a time, what I'll do is I will continue with the same, and then at the end I will unmute all. Okay, so this is the option for showing a PO table. So in this way, you can easily create your tables and your graphs. So again, I will give you very quick information. I think we are just remaining with 5 to 10 minutes, but okay. So many a time you are in a need to calculate mean, mode, median, standard deviation, or you want to apply several statistical tests like regression, correlation analysis, descriptive analysis, right? So these things will be really required for you, and many times you will take the help of bulky tools like SPSS or any other tools, right? So at that time, so how to do that? If you want to calculate a mean of something, mean, how to calculate a mean from your data, or you want to calculate a mode, standard deviation, variance. First thing I will clarify you here, like these things will belongs to the statistical portion, but I will only tell you the way. Okay, I will only tell you the way how to do it in Excel. For an example, you want to calculate everything, mean, standard deviation, mode, everything for this data आपको calculate करना है. How to do it? Calculate करना है. कैसे करेंगे? Simple करिए. Go to data. There is option called as data analysis. There is option called as data analysis. Click करिए इस पे. And there is option called as descriptive statistics. There is option called as descriptive statistics. First, go to data, say descriptive statistics, click OK. It will ask what is your data, input क्या है आपका, कौन से data के लिए descriptive statistic चाहिए. So you need to select the data like this. For an example, from here, drag like this and say labels in first row. Labels भी लीजिए. And you want to display the output in new workbook for simplicity. And say OK. Statistical option. Okay. You need to select summary statistics. Okay. Summary statistics and say OK. Check. Check this data. फॉर ऑल, जितना भी डेटा था आपका सबके लिए स्टैटिस्टिक्स आ गया एक बार में बन के, उसका मीन, स्टैंडर्ड एरर, मीडियन, मोड, सब कुछ, मैक्सिमम, मिनिमम, हर एक कॉलम के लिए जितने भी डेटा था आपका, हर एक डेटा के लिए ऑटोमेटिकली descriptive statistics will be generated. Just you need to have an option called as data, say data analysis, select descriptive statistics, click OK, and select your input. अगर आपको एक के लिए निकालना है तो एक ही सेलेक्ट करिए, सब मैंने सब सेलेक्ट किया इसलिए सबके लिए आया हो। एंड देन क्लिक लेबल्स इन फर्स्ट रो सो दैट यू कैन इजीली अंडरस्टैंड कौन सी लिए कौन सा डेटा है। एंड जस्ट चेक समरी स्टैटिस्टिक्स, check summary statistics and say okay. Automatically in new worksheet you will get your result, पूरे रिजल्ट आ जाएगा आपका। ठीक है, पूरा एसपीएसएस की जरूरत नहीं है, एक्सेल में भी आसानी से कर सकते हैं आप लोग। फॉर एन एग्जांपल यू वांट टू वर्क ऑन you want to work on correlation, right? You want to find out the relation among different variable. For an example, if age is increasing, income is also increasing or not. If age is increasing, expenses are increasing or not. You want to find out the correlation amongst the different variables. Okay, for example, this is your requirement. So how to identify that? Simple option है आपके पास, just click. What is our problem? You are going to find out the correlation analysis. You want to correlate. अगर एज बढ़ रहा है तो इनकम बढ़ रहा है क्या, या फिर एक्सपेंसेस बढ़ रहा है क्या, या फिर ऐसा हो रहा है कि एज इज इंक्रीजिंग एंड इनकम इज डिक्रीजिंग, वेदर दिस इज हैपनिंग, और वेदर एज इज इंक्रीजिंग एंड मोबाइल रिचार्ज अमाउंट इज डिक्रीजिंग, ऐसा हो रहा है क्या? यू वांट टू एनालाइज समथिंग, यू वांट टू हैव अ रिलेशन अमॉन्ग द मल्टीपल वेरिएबल्स विद इन योर thesis. इस पे आपको काम करना है। हाउ टू डू इट? यू नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई कोरिलेशन एनालिसिस। जस्ट क्लिक करेंगे डेटा, गो फॉर डेटा एनालिसिस, एंड देयर इज ऑप्शन कॉल्ड एज कोरिलेशन, देयर इज ऑप्शन कॉल्ड एज कोरिलेशन। सी ओके, देन अगेन इट विल आस्क फॉर इनपुट रेंज। इफ यू वांट टू हैव पर्टिकुलर, अगर आपको दो ही करना है तो दो ही सेलेक्ट करिए। आई विल सेलेक्ट ऑल so that automatically it will give relation among the all variable. Input range all, label चाहिए so that I can easily understand, and new workbook, nothing. Input range, I have selected all these four, just say click label and say new workbook, say okay, check. Check this, one minus, same you need to copy from this side, okay, क्योंकि वो सेम है इसीलिए नहीं आएगा। इफ दिस वेरिएबल, अब ये कौन सा वेरिएबल था 22 वाला, दैट इज माय वन, ये वाला, because I have not selected actually. Once. ठीक है, this is our data. Say data analysis, say correlation, and input I will place here to here, या फिर इसको भी ले लेते and label in first row, and then say okay. Now it will show like age, what is the relation, so I to fit column, I to fit width. How to analyze? Check this. If age, there is a relationship between age and income. चेक एज एंड इनकम में क्या रिलेशनशिप है, 0.9। इसका मतलब देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट कोरिलेशनशिप बिटवीन एज एंड इनकम, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज पॉजिटिव कोरिलेशन, बिकॉज वैल्यू इज 0.94। इट मींस देयर इज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप। अगर एज बढ़ रहा है तो इनकम बढ़ रहा है, राइट? दिस इज अ नेगेटिव कोरिलेशन, slightly negative correlation, like minus 0.03, and accordingly you can process, right? So this is how to do the correlation. ऐसे बहुत सारे टेस्ट है लेकिन आई थिंक वी आर शॉर्ट ऑफ टाइम नाउ, सो आई विल अनम्यूट यू ऑल टू चेक मी वेयर इज ऑप्शन टू अनम्यूट ऑल। Actually, I'm not getting the option. Wait for some time. सगळ्यांना अनम्यूट करा सगळ्यांना.
आता ते अनम्यूट करू शकतात सर स्वतःच.
करू शकतात का? नाही, आपण त्यांना हे
हो.
केलेलं आहे, सगळ्यांना म्यूट केलेलं आहे आपण.
हा, मी अनम्यूट करता येतं त्यांना. आता त्यांना म्हणायचं बोलायचं असेल तर त्यांनी अनम्यूट करायचं स्वतःला.
Okay, okay,
ठीक आहे, व्हायला लागलं आता.
okay, okay. I have done with my session actually because we are short of time. We are remaining with some portion, but I thought if there is some question you can raise.
वापस आ गया था.
Participant, if you have any question, you can ask the question to sir.
सर, हेलो.
Yes.
सर, सपोज अपने को ऐसे सेपरेट सेपरेट कॉलम में लेना है, जैसे कि सर नेम, मिडल नेम, फर्स्ट नेम वगैरह ऐसा, तो उसके लिए कौन से फॉर्मूला यूज कर सकते हैं?
नहीं, आपका डेटा कैसा है उसके ऊपर है ना. अगर आपका डेटा कंबाइन है क्या डेटा?
हाँ, कंबाइंड डेटा है तो उसको सेपरेट करना है, मतलब स्पेस वाइज जो जहाँ पे
स्पेस वाइज करना है ना, तो वहां पे
हाँ.
डिलिमिट नाम का ऑप्शन है ना, डिलिमिट.
डिलिमिट. ओके.
डिलिमिट, ये देखिए यहाँ पे ऑप्शन है डिलिमिट.
हम्म.
यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम में जाइए, पहले डेटा सेलेक्ट करिए एंड देन टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम.
आले होते का सगळे घेतले?
Select your data and then go for
लक्षात आलं ना?
text to column.
आजचे दिवस आहे ना, दुपारच्या अटेंडन्स मेंटेन करा, शेअर करून टाक. आउट ऑफ टाइम झालं.
For an example, this is your data. Say text to column. This is option called a delimited. And from here, use space. देखिए यहाँ पे space नाम का ऑप्शन है. यहाँ पे स्पेस है. देखिए यहाँ पे बिल एंड स्मिथ अलग अलग हो गए. यहाँ पे देखिए यहाँ पे कंबाइन था. यही रिक्वायरमेंट है ना आपका? है क्या आप यहाँ पे? अरे देयर. So you can solve your requirement like this by using a function called as delimit. Anyone else? अगर कुछ होगा तो, otherwise we'll end with the session.
Sir, I think there are no any question for the participant.
ठीक.
So, sir, thank you so much as you delivered very good concept of an Excel, which help to all the researcher to use the Excel for their data analysis also, or they can clean the raw data by using the different tools which are taught by you in today's session. On the behalf of HRDC, I thanks to you as you delivered the today's session in very deep way. Thank you so much. Now for the announcement for the participant, there will be a break for the 15 minutes. We will again rejoin after 50 minutes for the next session. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All the participant, there is an live streaming is also available. They can again refer the same YouTube. I will share the YouTube link for this session. You can again can be watch on the YouTube. All the sessions are available on the YouTube also.
चलो कोणी पत्रकार दिला मला पत्राची कोणाला पत्रिका दिला जावं लागतं बोलले म्हणून कोणाला फोन केले मला म्हणून माझ्याशी बोलतो तिथं नाही का बोललो मग पत्रिका मिळाली का माझी बोललो काय बोल म्हणलं तो आणली म्हणलं कोणाकडे खाली बोललो काय त्याला माहित नाही त्याला म्हणलं काढणार असं घरी त्याला माहित भाऊ म्हणलं त्याला बरोबर पण म्हणायचं बरं बरं म्हणलं तेव्हा तुमचा क्लास बंद झाला का हे करायचं का मग जायचं चल चक्कर आली की जातो
Am I audible? Participant, are you there? Good morning to one and all. Am I audible? Please give me a reply. My screen is available to all of you. Give me a reply. My screen is available or not? My screen is available. Participant. Can I go ahead? Smita ma'am. Smita Bagul ma'am. My screen is available. Please give me a confirmation. Okay. Good morning to one and all. Again today I haven't gotten chance to interact with you. And what is the remaining concept? In a very previous lecture, I told you that I said you that okay, some important parts I am going to be covered in my next lecture. In the previous lecture, I just covered the basic concept of and the research process. What are the different sampling methods are there? Through that, you can select the appropriate sampling methods. And once the sampling method is finalized, then according to that, you have to prepare the questionnaire also. Once you prepared a question, again there are the n factors you have to consider while you are preparing the questionnaire for your research, and what are the different types of questionnaires, which types of questions we can quote in your questionnaire. I explained the little bit ideas about that in my previous lecture. But today, now, what are the different type of scaling are there that help us to design the questions? But today, I'm going to be explain a very important concept, that how to design a hypothesis, and what is the steps of testing of an hypothesis, right? So to test the hypothesis, what is an important, your data is very, very important, right? And unless and until you are not clear about the which types of data you can process, then it's a very difficult to get it right. So here what I am doing here, what I am going to be explain here. The first of all, you have to try to understand that which type of data can be analyzed, right? So basically, there are the two types of data that you can analyze. The first one is called as an that is called as an ungrouped type of data, and the second one is called as an that is an group type of data. So now see, what do you mean by an ungrouped data? The ungrouped data means there will be a no frequency. And now what do you mean by frequency, we will see later on. But keep in mind that the ungrouped type is nothing but the data which is very, very individual. It's a very small, and the generally your observations are only 10 to 12. Then ungrouped type of data is that data is called as an ungrouped type of data. For example, age group. If you have an only 10 to 12 observations, and there is no need of and getting an frequency, and you want to directly apply the some statistical tool, then you can, but it's not unreliable, right? Your data cannot be only 10 to 12 observations. Your data can be an huge amount of data can be. So now, but you should know that what to mean by an ungrouped type of data. The ungrouped type of data means the data that do not have a frequency. What is the frequency, we will see. But ungrouped type of data will not have a frequency. And what do you mean by group type of data? The group type of data, generally, it is called as a discrete also. Very scattered data will be here. Here again, in the group type of data, there will be two types of subtypes. One is called as a discrete type of data, and then another one is called as a continuous type of data. Now see, discrete type of data means the data which is very scattered, right? If your data is very scattered, it's very difficult to establish the relation between the entities or relations between the attributes what you are going to be considered for your research. And what do you mean by continuous type of data? The continuous type of data is nothing but it's a group type of data. Means you have to make a group of your observations, and that help us to apply the statistical tools on the same. Here, the another one is I want to explain the same concept with an some table. Now see, both are called as an what? That is a group type of data. For ungrouped, there will be a no frequency. But here in the group type of data, there will be an frequency. Now see, many times you have to tabulate the data in this way. For that, you should know that your data is whether discrete type of data, what the data you got obtained from the respondent, or it is a continuous type of data, right? If your respondents are very small, then you can represent that data as a discrete type of data. But your respondents are 10,000, 5,000, 1,000, then it's not possible to represent your data in the discrete form. then you have to use a continuous representation of an data. Means you have to represent your data in the form of continuous, right? Now see, if what this table says that, suppose these are the marks obtained by the student, and if I want to show that there are the 4 students who got 9 marks, then I can represent it in the form of discrete, right? But here your data will be very small. Means for your research, if your samples are very less, then this will be useful for you. But if your data is not small, you have manipulated 2000, 3000 observations, then you have to represent your data in the continuous form. What do you mean by continuous form? You have to create a class. We will see how you can tabulate the data by using some tools, right? Here, you have to tabulate your respondent. You can find the frequencies by using an formulas of an Excel. That is, you can use a count function also to get the frequency. But here, your data you have to either represent in the discrete form or you have to represent in the continuous form, right? Now, what do you mean by frequency and frequency distribution? What is the frequency? The frequency is nothing but the number of times and observations occur in given data. That is called as a frequency. For example, in this previous example, it shows that 7 frequency means what? In this table, it shows that there are the 7 students who got the 50 marks. And same thing can be in your research, that because you are going to be prepared a questionnaire by considering the level of measurements, right? And there are the 4 level of measurements, means the number of respondents may be like level number 1 or level number 2 or level number 3, like this. So you have to represent data in the form of frequency, then it helps us to apply the statistical tool on it. So here, frequency is nothing but what? It's a number of times an observation occurs in the given data, that is called as a frequency. And what do mean by frequency distribution? The frequency distribution is the arrangement of an given data is in the form of the table showing the frequency with which each variables occur. I already explained here that what is the meaning of these numbers. I can say that 27, 21 is a frequency, but how I can interpret this representation of my data? That is, there are the 21 families are here whose weekly expenditure lies between 30 to 40 rupees daily. Means your tabulation implies that meaningful information in the research. Therefore, there is a need to tabulate the data in a very proper way. And therefore, many times you have to calculate the frequency and you have to prepare the frequency distribution table also. Then now, while you want to tabulate the data in this form, there is a need to study some important terms that will be helpful to you in a tabulation of any data. While you want to tabulate the data, the basic term you have to use as in class. And what do you mean by class? The class is what? If the observation of the series are divided into the groups and the groups are bounded by the limits, then each group is called as a class. For example, in this example, I can say that this is my first class, 0 to 10. What is the second class? 10 to 20. Means this is called as a class. Means class is nothing but it's an what? It is a series of an observation. Basically, you can create an classes by using 2 ways. That is called as an inclusive type of class and exclusive type of class. In inclusive type of class, my observation lies, my first class lies from 0 to 5. My next class will always start with an 6 to 10. And my third class will be start with an 11. 11 to, I think there is a mistake. Suppose I can say that 11 to 15 also, right? So this is an general representation of inclusive type of class. What is an exclusive type of class? If my first limit start with 10 to 15, the next limit I have to start with 15 to 20. Again excluding, including of an upper limit of an previous class will be on lower limit of my next class. Here, if my lower limit of and this class is 10 and upper limit is 15, for my next class, upper limit will be in my upper limit of an first series will be a lower limit of my next series. So like this, you have to tabulate the data in the form of class. And what is in class interval? Many time in a statistical tool, you have to code the interval. So if my class lies from 1 to 9, means my interval will be 9. So some formulas ask you that what is an interval of your class. So for that, you should know that how we can find out the interval. Interval is nothing but it's a difference between the upper bound and lower bound, right? What is here? Suppose this is a 10 to 15, means my 5 is interval, like this. So some important terms you have to consider while you are going to be tabulate the data, and tabulation is very, very important for uh, testing of hypothesis. So what is the basic requirement of testing and hypothesis is that your data must be in a very very proper format. I'm taking in one example here. See, this is my data, right? And this data, what is an example? Example to create an frequency distribution, because you should know that how the raw material is going to be converted into very finished good. I cannot apply any statistical tool on this type of data. I have to use an frequency or frequency distribution for the raw type of data. This is very raw data. What is it? See, the marks obtained by 30 students in the class test out of 50 means this mark shows that the marks of 30 students and the test is conducted. The marks were 50, and these are the 30 values are there. But if I observe this type of data, it's not possible for me to apply any statistical tool on this one. So once the questionnaire is in your hand and you tabulated your questionnaire in very raw manner, then it's very difficult to apply any statistical tool, right? So what is my first duty is that what I have to do, I have to convert this raw data in a meaningful format. Through that, I can apply the status on that data. I can apply the statistical tool. Now see, same data, if I quote in the table, see, I know that we have prepared the this marks for 30 students. What we will do in the tabulation, we will prepare a table from serial roll number 1 to here see roll number 30. My last value is 30. And what we will do, we will tabulate this value. Now see, the roll number 1 having 41 value. So we will quote here 41 value. And like this, what we will do, we will insert all the values, all the marks which are obtained by roll number 1 to 30. So this raw data, we have tabulated in a little bit systematic way. But we cannot say that this is very tabulated, proper tabulated data. No. Again, what I have to do, I have to arrange that data. See, all the data is scattered. It is not in the ascending order or not in the descending order, right? 41 is here. Again, some one is here, means this data is not arranged properly. And in previous lecture, you learned that how you can sort the data, right? So if I sort this table, so what I will get these values. This is the sorted form, right? And once my data is sorted, data is sorted, so what will be happen that what will be happen here? See, the 1 marks, how many students gets the 1 marks? There are the 2 students who obtain 1 marks. I can easily find out the frequency. How many frequency is there? And 2. Therefore, in my resultant table, what we, the 1 marks obtained for 2 student. This is called as a tally mark, is used to represent the number of frequency, right? What is the next 5? Means there is any student who obtained 2 marks, 3 marks, and 4 marks. There is a student who obtained 5 marks, right? So here there are the 2 students. There are 2 students who obtain 2 marks, right? Again, there is a next one, 12. How many students are here? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 students are there who obtained 12 marks, right? So like this, when you collect the respondent from the student, you can easily find out the what is an frequency of that particular answer. It's a very important that this scattered data, see, this data was very scattered data. We convert that data into the very meaningful table, right? You get this meaningful table, you can apply any statistical method on this. So what is an important that data tabulation is very important. If you collect the data in the by using in Google, fine. But if you collected the data by using a physical questionnaire, then it's very difficult to tabulate your data. In tabulation, what is an important, that is the getting and frequency, calculating and frequency is important. So here, how we can calculate the frequency of and scattered data. So this is one example I explained to you. Means what you have to do, the data is given to you. First of all, you have to sort that data in ascending order. And after that, you have to mark the tally mark on the marks, and then how many students are, what is the frequency of that particular thing you have to mark. Means raw data, you have to convert it into the very meaningful data. And this is called as an tabulation of a discrete type of data. Now, if I want to again represent this data in a very systematical way. So what we can do, I can represent this data continuous form also. And what do you mean by continuous form? The continuous form is nothing but you have to prepare the class. What do you mean by class? The class is nothing but it is a group of series, right? Same data I can represent in this way. That is the 1 to 10 marks. How many students are there? 4 students are there who obtain the marks between 1 to 10. There are the 13 students who obtain the marks 11 to 20. Means same data. This is a representation of data using a discrete type of data. But if same data, if I'm using in continuous form, the same data I can represent in a very systematic way by using in class. Because it's an important for hypothesis testing, your data should be in a very tabular form. Means here variables and frequencies are very, you have to represent very properly. Then we can apply the test on that. Now see the final represented. This is my tally mark representation, and this will be my final representation of my data, right? So here, suppose you have a very complex data. Now see here, my this data represent the total respondent 107. Now see, I try to represent the data of 107 respondent in a very small tabular form because I have a facility to tabulate the data in a continuous form. That's why it's possible to represent the large amount of respondents data in a very small table. Here just you have to decide what will be the class upper limit, lower limit, what is an initial value and what is your final value. What is in tabulation? Tabulation perform very important role to represent your complex data in the tabular form. This is an example of an single variate type of data, but sometime you will have two variables, right? And you have to represent the two variable or two bivariant two variable data in a distribution table. Then you have to use another concept that is called as an bivariate frequency data set. What do you mean by bivariate frequency data set? The bivariate frequency data set is nothing but represent the data in the two variables. There will be two or more variables can be, but bivariate says that there will be a two variable. Now see, this is one example. This example will be helpful to you if you are comparing the one variable with another variable. See here, what is it? I'm just reading here. Prepare the bivariate frequency table for following data related to the age and blood. Now see, I have two variables here. One is my age, another one is my blood. Now my first will be represent, first parameter of this bracket represent the age, and second will represent the blood. Now, if I represent my data in this way, it's very difficult for me to apply any statistical tool on this data. So I have a concept of a tabulation that I can use a bivariate frequency data set. I can represent this data in the bivariate frequency data set and I can apply the test. Now, what we can do for that? See, this is very raw material, very raw data is there. Meaningfully, this data is meaningful, but representation is very raw, right? But same data, how I can represent here? Now see, in the bivariate table, you have to prepare a table. The one will show you the age and another will show you a blood group, right? Here see, this is an sorry, blood pressure, not blood group. It is an blood pressure, right? So now see here, what is a minimum here? If you sort the data, you will get a mean and max value, right? Here we will start the making the group from 115 to 125, 125 to 1235 means here we have prepared a class. This representation is called as an continuous data tabulation, continuous type of data I am presenting, but in this I am using two variables. My first variable is an blood pressure, another variable is my age. Now see here, you have to observe here how many peoples are there that they having a blood pressure lies from 115 to 125. When I sort this data, I can easily find out that how many peoples are there, they have a blood pressure and what is the age of them. So what it says that there are the two persons whose blood pressure is lies between 115 to 125 and whose age lies between 35 to 45. First of all, by using a tally mark, you have to represent the bivariate tabulation of your data. And once you tabulate it by using a tally mark, you have to just count the total. How many are here? That is in 3. Means 3 peoples are here. They have a blood pressure whose age are from 35 to 40. Means bivariate tabulation is also very important for applying an ANOVA and chi-square test. You should be able to tabulate the data in a single variable also, in a bivariate variable also, bivariate variable also. So this is the way to represent your two variable data in a tabular form, that is called as an bivariate tabulation. Now see, this is very raw one, but you can again convert this bivariate tabulation into the a very meaningful result. Now see here, this data, this tabulation, tally mark data, we have converted into the tabulation, and here your data is tabulated very properly. Now, this is a very meaningful data that help us to apply the statistical tool, right? So when you want to apply any statistical tool on your data, you must have to tabulate your data in very proper manner, right? So how we can tabulate the data, I explained to you with two example. Once your data is tabulated in a very proper manner, then you can apply the various statistical tools on that, right? To apply the statistical tool, some important basic concept you should know, and that is called as an measures of central tendency. I hope a lot of researchers will know that what do mean by an central tendency, because there is an subject of statistics and optimization technique in the courses, MBA, MCA, and all the remaining courses also. So you should know, or if no, then I will explain in little bit what do mean by mean, mode, and median, and measures of dispersion, which help us to check whether the given hypothesis should accepted or not accepted, right? So what do mean? Another important things you have to learn, that what is a correlation analysis. If you are able in correlation also, you will be need of and some mean, mode, and median. So first of all, we will try to that understand what is the role of an central tendency in the hypothesis testing, and what is a correlation analysis is also important. So we are going to be test your hypothesis by using a central tendency as using the correlation analysis. Now keep in mind, generally, if you apply the mode and median and mean for hypothesis testing, it will be not good. You have to apply some statistical tool. You have to establish the relation between the two variable. You have to correlate the two variable by using different statistical tools, right? So what is a correlation? The correlation is a statistical tool which studies the relationship between the two variable. Now, the mean central tendency will not allow to establish the correlation between the two variable. Means the mean, mode, median will not help you to compare the two variable. So for that, you have to use an correlation analysis for that, which help us to relation between the two variables, and you can test the hypothesis whether the one variable is relate with another variable, or if there is any impact of any independent variable is on the dependent variable. If you want to make in testing of such type of data, then there is a need of an correlation analysis also. What is then correlation? First of all, you have to say that how many types of correlations we can establish, right? Now basically there are the 6 types of correlations we can identify. If you have two variable, one variable on x-axis and another variable on the y-axis, and if after plotting and graph, if your graph shows like this, means majority points are covered in my drawn line. Therefore, we can say that there is a strong relation between these two variables. Even though we can code the plot the graph of this tabulated data, and I can check that whether there is a strong relation between the age, blood pressure, right? Or we can easily say that if the age of a particular person is going to be increased, the blood pressure problem is also going to be find in your variable also, right? So what is an important that by using and plotting and graph, by plotting and graph, you can relate the relation between the one variable with another variable. If after plotting your graph is like this, now very few dots are line, then I can say that there is a weak positive relation. See, it is not scattered, but what is the line I drawn? That is, all the dots are near with my line. Means we cannot say there is a no relation. There is a relation. There is a relation, but weak positive relation is there in these two variables, right? If you plot a graph, and your graph is like this, right? Means what? It is an increase, it is also increase, right? Here also my x-axis is also increase, my y-axis is also, y-axis is decrease, y-axis is decrease here. If your plot is like this, your graph is like this, then you can predict that there is a strong negative relation is there. Means what? If the particular thing is increasing, the particular thing is decreasing, means it's a strong negative, right? Here my x is increasing, here, but at the same time my y is decreasing here, means it is a strong negative relation between the two variable. What is an weak negative? It is completely opposite of an weak positive. Means here my x is increasing, y is decreasing. What is the data that is near to my line but not on the line? Then it is called as a negative, weak negative relation between these two variables. Now, sometime what will happen? The negative is there, but what the values you plotted that are very negative to my line, if your result is like this, then I can say that it is a moderate negative. It is a moderate negative. We can say that there is a moderate negative relation between this variable and this variable. Sometime there may be a possibility that my plotted values will be scattered in this way. Possibility can be. And if my data is, my plotted graph is like this, means there is no any, if I try to draw the line, there is no possibility of getting a straight line. Means I can say that there is a no relation between these two variables. And sometime, every time the result will not like this, there is a relation between two variables. Many times it can be happen that there is no relation of an x with an y. But there is no relation of a particular thing with another thing. So you have to represent your data, you have to correlate your data, and correlation can be established by plotting a graph. If you plot the graph, then by using what the value you are the screen, through that we can establish the correlation between the two variable. Now, if the basic thing is okay for you, then we will go for the this important is that is an what is then hypothesis. I think everybody know that what is an hypothesis. I hope everybody know what is an hypothesis. I want a reply from you. All of you are able to find the mean, mode, median. Tell me or not. Yeah, there is a need to explain mean, mode, what. I want a response from you. All participants are there. What do you mean by hypothesis? Can anybody tell me what do you mean by hypothesis? See, in last lecture, I told you that hypothesis is nothing but it's an assumption, right? Your hypothesis can be positive or can be negative. There are the two types of hypothesis. I think everybody know. Hypothesis is nothing but it's an assumption which to be considered for your research. Now, if you want to test the hypothesis, you have to follow the certain process. What are the process? Process is that you have to setting up the hypothesis. The first of all, you have to try to understand that what do you mean by an hypothesis? The hypothesis is nothing but it's an assumption, right? What will be happen if you test the data? What will be the result? That result you have to test by using some statistical tool that is called as an hypothesis. Basically, there are the two types of hypothesis. Number one is null hypothesis and another one is called as an alternative hypothesis. What do you mean by null hypothesis? The statistical hypothesis that is set up for the testing the hypothesis is known as a null hypothesis, and it is generally denoted by the H0, and alternative hypothesis generally represented with an H1. What is a null hypothesis? Is a statement about the population parameter, right? An alternative hypothesis, it is a statement that directly contradicts the null hypothesis. Means we can say that alternative hypothesis is a negation of or reverse of null hypothesis. I can say that the alternative hypothesis is the negation of null hypothesis and generally denoted by the H1. Now see, for example, of null and alternate hypothesis. See here, suppose my null hypothesis is like this: the new drug has no effect on symptoms of the disease. If I assume this is my null hypothesis, then what will be the alternative hypothesis of this null hypothesis? Because I told you that alternative hypothesis will be a negation of null hypothesis, right? This says that there is a no effect on symptoms, right? So what will be the alternative hypothesis? The drug is effective for preventing the symptoms of the disease. Means it is a negation of a null hypothesis is called as an alternative hypothesis. In your research, what you have to do, you have to set the null hypothesis, and according to your null hypothesis, your alternative hypothesis will be, if your null hypothesis say no effect, the alternative must say that there is an effect, right? Like this, you have to design the hypothesis first of all. Means in a hypothesis testing, my first step is that you have to set the hypothesis. But for that, at least you should know that what do mean by null hypothesis and what do mean by alternative hypothesis. Once it is clear, now see, hypothesis is completely depends on what is your research problem, right? You are very clear about what is your research question or research problem, then it is possible for you to design the hypothesis. See, another example I want to explain here, how we can design the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Now in this example, my statement problem is this one. Means my research question is this one. What is my research question? Does the data suggests that the population mean doses of this brand is differ than 150 mg. ये मेरा क्वेश्चन है. What is the question? कि ये जो मेरा ये है, does the data suggest that the population mean dose, ये a particular जो brand है उससे differ than 150 mg है क्या? So what will be my null hypothesis? My null hypothesis will be like this. The dose sold under this brand is 150 mg. Means population mean dose equal to 150 mg. If I consider my question, what will be the null hypothesis? The null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis will be the negation of the null hypothesis. What is my alternative null hypothesis? The dose sold under this brand is 150 mg. Means my population mean dose is equal to 150 mg. What will be my alternative hypothesis will be the dose sold under this brand is not negation of the my null hypothesis, right? It is not 150 mg. Not M50 mg means what? It can be less than 150 mg or it can be greater than 150 mg. If such types of condition is occurred, not 150 mg, in that case, I have to use that this hypothesis will be of two-sided alternative hypothesis. Why two-sided alternative thesis? Because I do not say that it is an less than or it is an greater than. I say here it is only not equal. If I say like this, if I design alternative hypothesis for this null hypothesis like this, population mean dose less than 150 mg. If I quote less than mg, then it will become one side alternative hypothesis. If I say that population mean doses greater than 150 mg, means it is also one-sided. But when I quote here, population mean dose not equal to 150 mg, not equal means it can be less than or it can be greater than. In that case, I have to consider this null hypothesis as a two-sided alternative thesis. Means what will be the result? You have to check within both sides, left side also and right side also. Now another one example I want to explain here. See, this is my research question. What is my research question? The particular company is discriminating against females in the management selection process. Means what? There is a main dominance in this particular company. They do not appoint more females in the management, right? So this is my problem. This is my question. So how I can design the null hypothesis as well as my alternate hypothesis. Now see here, what is my problem? The particular company is discriminating against the females in the management selection portion. What will be my null hypothesis? My null hypothesis will be the probability of the woman being selected in the management is 60%. Means in a pilot study, you can identify whether what will be the possibility of this one, right? So how I can say that H0 pi is equal to 60%. I assume that this is my assumption, right? I told you that hypothesis is nothing but it's my assumption. Assumption can be true or assumption can be false. So what will be my null hypothesis? I can quote this, I can write the alternate hypothesis for this null hypothesis like this. The probability of woman being selected for the management is not 60%. Completely negation, completely inverse of my null hypothesis. Means when I say not a 60%, means this is a two-sided alternative hypothesis because there is a different mechanism of an one-sided alternative hypothesis and two-sided alternative thesis. You have to decide very properly what will be your alternative hypothesis, right? If this is my null hypothesis, I can design the alternative hypothesis by two ways. This is also fine and this is also fine. In this case, I'm saying that the probability of woman being selected for the management is less than 60. Means here I'm very sure that the woman being selected in the particular company in the management is less than. Means I'm sure it is a less than, right? Therefore, here one-sided alternative hypothesis will be there. What about this one? Here two-sided alternative hypothesis will be here. Like this is a very first step that I want to say that how to set up the hypothesis. It's a very important to set up the hypothesis, and once you are able to set up the hypothesis, then second step in the hypothesis test is that computation of test statistics. What do you mean by that? You have to decide whether you have to apply the Z test or whether you have to apply the T test. Some another test are there, but first of all, you have to decide whether the T is very appropriate for you or whether Z is appropriate for you, right? If your samples are greater than 30, large samples are there, then you have to prefer the Z distribution statistical method, right? If your samples are less than 30, then you have your samples are very less, then you have to prefer the T test, right? The according to your sample size, you have to decide whether the Z distribution is very appropriate for you or T test is very appropriate for you, right? This is the second step of and testing of hypothesis. One hypothesis is framed. The next step is that you have to identify which test is very appropriate for your data. The next one is that once you decide that Z is appropriate or T is appropriate, then next you have to try to find the formulas of both the test. T test is there and Z test is also there. Now some mathematical formulation is there, but it is too easy. You can test your own hypothesis. There is no need to go to any statistical person. If you study these 2-3 formulas, that will be very sufficient for you. Now, if you are using a T test, then what will be the formula? That is the sample mean. Here I have quoted what is the meaning of this one. Sample mean minus the population mean, this mu0 means and population mean, divided by sample standard deviation S, and then root of sample size. Every data I will demonstrate you with an example how we can apply the T test, right? But at least you have to memorize the what is an formula of an T test. And if you want to apply the Z test, then very simple formula is there. What is the Z? That is an standard score is equal to observed value, that is an X, minus mean of an sample and then standard deviation of the sample. We will learn how to find the mean and how to find the standard deviation, but at least formula you have to keep into the mind, right? Here I have put on one note here, that is by using the measures of central tendency, you can get the value of mean and standard deviation, right? What is the mean? We will find out, we will try to apply the formula for that, what do mean and what do mean by standard deviation. But we have to use an central tendency to get the mean and standard deviation, right? Here, what is the next one is that once you decide which test you have to apply, whether T test is applied or whether you have to apply the Z test. Later on, the third step in the hypothesis testing will be, that is type of error in the hypothesis testing. Now, there may be a possibility of getting an errors in the hypothesis testing, right? Which types of error can be occur? The type 1 or type 2, these are the two types of error will occur during the hypothesis testing. What do you mean by type A? Means false positive, and type 2 means false negative. Now see, the chance of omitting type A error is known as an alpha, while the chance of omitting type 2 error is known as an beta. Means sometime you will be getting an alpha and beta things in your research, but that nothing but it is an type 1 error and it is an type 2 error. But what do you mean by means type 1 and what do you mean by type 2? First of all, we will try to understand. I said that your null hypothesis can be accepted or can be rejected. Every time your null hypothesis is not going to be accepted, right? That completely depends on the types of errors, right? See, if the types of errors concept is clear for you, then you can easily accept that if your null hypothesis is rejected, then also fine. there is no need to worry about that, right? What do you mean by type 1 error? The type 1 error means it is the error of rejecting the null hypothesis H0 when it is true. I will explain you with an example. But even though the situation is true, then also your null hypothesis is going to be rejected, means type 1 error is occurred there, right? The probability of making type 1 error is denoted by alpha. I already told you that alpha, the level of significance. What is the level of significance also I will explain to you. To control the type 1 error, the probability of type 1 error is fixed at the certain level of significance. Certain level of significance means 5% of significance level, 10% of significance level, 1% of significance levels. We can fix the type 1 error, right? What is a type 2 error? It is the error for accepting the null hypothesis. Here, see, we are rejecting the null hypothesis. But here, accepting the null hypothesis when it is false, means the situation is false, then also you have to accept it, means it is a type 2 error, right? And here also, it is denoted by the beta, and it's a very difficult to fix the type 2 error if occurs, right? Here I am quoting two examples. See here, type 1 error. What do you mean by type 1 error? The type 1 error means false positive. See here, one example I want to quote here. The test result says that, see, the test result says that you have coronavirus, right? Means my result is that when I test my blood or required health testing, the results say that you have a corona. But actually, I don't have a corona. See, very contrast. Actually, I don't miss. I actually I don't have a corona, but my tests are positive. My tests are positive. When such type of things will happen, then it is called as a type 1 error. It is called as a type 1 error. What is a type 2 error? That is a false negative. The test result says that you don't have a coronavirus, right? My results say that you don't have a coronavirus, but actually I have. But actually, the virus, the coronavirus I have. Means these are the two examples of type 1 and type 2 error. Means sometimes, I told you that sometimes, even though your null hypothesis is true, even though your null hypothesis is true, then also your null hypothesis is going to be rejected, right? That case is called as an type 1. What do you mean by type 2? Type 2 means what? Ki, there will be a condition will be true, but it says it's an false, right? The such types of errors can be occur in your hypothesis testing process. The third one is that level of significance. It's a very, very important. Many students will not able to say that at what the level of significance you test your hypothesis. You should be able that what is the significance level you applied for your testing of an hypothesis, right? Level of significance means what? The level of significance is the measurement of a statistical significance, right? Now see, it define that the level of significance define whether the null hypothesis is assumed to be accepted or rejected. It plays the very important role that whether your null hypothesis is going to be accepted or it is going to be rejected, right? The level of the significance is for type 1% significance level, 5% significance level, 10% significance level. What it means that when I say that my level of significance is 1%, the level of significance is 1%, means my confidence level is 99%. Means there is a possibility that there will be an error of 1% in my data. Means your confidence level is 99% of confidence level you have achieved in your hypothesis testing. If you say that, if you test your significance, you test your hypothesis with 5% of significance level, means 95% confidence level will be there in your hypothesis testing mechanism. And if you are saying that I have test my data, test my hypothesis with 10% of significance level, means 90% confidence level achieved through your result. And keep in mind, if you are in the social science, then up to 10% significance level can be allowed, right? But keep in mind, if your result is with an 1% significance level, then that result will not be considered in a health services research, because health related research will not allow even the 1% significance level. It should be in 0%, means what the product you produce, what the result you are going to be produced, it should be 100% correct. Then and then it will be accepted in the health science faculty. But in the social science, 5% significance level is allowed, because errors can be occurred in 5% of your data. Or if 10% even in a social science also, 10% significance level allow, because sometimes people are giving very fake data while you are collecting the data. Means testing of data or your result is completely depends on the what is the data given by the respondent. You have to try to do one important thing, that you should collect very appropriate data from the respondent. If the respondent is not in the mindset of giving the answers of your questionnaire, please don't share your questionnaire to him or her, because if he is not in that particular mood, he will give you a very fake answer of your research question. Therefore, take a time, but try to get an correct and proper respondent from the student. Now, what will be the fifth step in my process of testing of hypothesis? The fifth one is that critical region or rejection region you have to mark. Actually, this is not this if you do not do this one also, that's also fine, because every time there is no need to represent your result in this way, right? This is called as an two-tail testing and one-tail testing. Many times you may be sent in your research thesis that your analysis is displayed in this form. What it means that? It means that we are showing our region, critical region, either by using one-tailed or two-tailed test, right? It is nothing but just mark the acceptance and rejections of your result in this graphical way. Now there are many statistical online tools are there. If you put your data, they will give you a result also, and they give you critical regions of your data also. So this is an fifth and sixth steps are there. If you are not able to draw it, so you can use the AI tool which are available on the internet. You have to enter the data. They will give you a proper your distribution of two-tailed and one-tailed test. Automatically you will get, and it is completely depends on the what is the result, whether it is going to be accepted or whether it is going to be rejected. What will be the significance level, it will be displayed here, right? Here also it is a two-tailed. So therefore, if my 5% significance level is there, and if I am using the one-tailed test, it will go here 5% one-tailed here. If I am saying -5, then it will go at this side, because it is in 0, right? This bill shows that here will be in 0, here will be a positive value, here will be a negative value. In one-tailed, if I am saying that at the 5% significance level, I accept this data, so you have to show like this. But if I use the two-tailed test, then among the 5% significance level, my 2.5% will be at this side, and my 2.5% significance will be at this level point. And I told you that if I say that 5% of significance level means my confidence level will be 95%, right? So you can easily represent your data in this way. A critical value, step 4, the critical value of the sample statistic that defines the region of the acceptance and rejection. It will be in 5%, or it can be a 10%, or it can be 1, or it can be two-tailed or right-tailed or both-tailed. I explain with an example also, right? The next one is that last step is that decision. Once you perform the step 1 to 7, then it is very good for us to take a decision. What is a decision? See here, here Z represent my calculated value, whereas my Z alpha will be my table value. How we can get a table value? Just you go in the internet and say that I want a 5% significance level of obtained value. It will give you, right? Otherwise, there is one. We can say that some pages at the end of an statistics books, they attached all the table value of and 5%, 1%, 2% critical regions, right? Through that also you can get the Z alpha also. So your conclusion is completely depends on what the value you obtained by applying a statistical tool and table value, right? So if my calculated value is less than my table value, then my hypothesis, null hypothesis is going to be accepted. And if my calculated value is greater than my tabulated value, then null hypothesis is going to be rejected and alternative hypothesis is going to be accepted. Means I want to tell you that it is never be possible that every time your null hypothesis is going to be accepted. There may be a possibility that your alternative hypothesis can be accepted. It's completely depends on what is your calculated value is there. After applying a particular statistical tool, what value you obtain, you have to compare that value with a table value. And depending on that, null hypothesis is going to be accepted or alternative hypothesis is going to be accepted. That is completely depends on what the result you obtain after applying the statistical tool. If you feel that these steps are little bit hard, right? You can apply the very basic concept, basic tools by using mean, mode, and median. Also, you can test your hypothesis, right? Here I'm going to explain some example of t-test, z-test, chi-test, and ANOVA test. But even by using a mean, mode, and median, you can test your hypothesis. I will explain you if you are from the social science, yeah. If you are from the management, that also good. If you use very mean and median and mode or z-test, t-test, this is very simple concept. Through that we can test your hypothesis. So I want to explain here the one important hypothesis testing using a median. And I hope everybody know that what do mean by mean, what do mean by mode, and what do mean by median. And if not, if you are not aware about that, I will tell you how to find the median, how we can find the mode, and how we can find the median also, right? So here, this is one example. I will try to explain you how we can frame the hypothesis and how we can test the hypothesis. Now say, this is a table. In this table, there are how many students are here? There are 12 students, right? And this is then statistical marks, stats marks of 12 student, and this is the physics marks of 12 student. This is your data, and such type of data can be you have little bit your variables can be changed, right? Now what my question is that above table represent the marks obtained by a batch of 12 students in certain class tests in statistics and physics. But I want to check, what is my question? Indicate in which subject is the level of achievement is high. Here, I want to check that the level of achievement in the subject of stat is high. Yeah, level of achievement of physics subject is high. So if I want to check what is the level of achievement, then definitely I have to frame the hypothesis. If I do not frame the hypothesis, then how I can accept it or how I can reject it, right? Here on the given data, and what is in my question of my research, what is my question of my research, on the basis of these two, I frame the hypothesis, my null hypothesis like this. What is my null hypothesis? The level of achievement of the student is higher in statistics. This is my assumption, right? This is not a result. This is my assumption. What will be a null hypothesis? My null hypothesis will be the level of achievement of the student is high in the physics. I cannot say that it is not in the statistics. If I say not in the statistic, there may be question in your mind that, ma'am, you said that it is a negation of an null hypothesis. Means alternative hypothesis must be the negation of null hypothesis. But here, if I quote here that the level of achievement of the student is low in the statistic, means I am just checking the level of achievement of an statistics only. But here my question is that I want to check the level of achievement in the physics or in the statistics, right? Therefore, my null hypothesis will be negation of inverse of my null. Null says that the level of achievement is high in statistics. What will be my alternative hypothesis? The level of achievement of the student is high in the physics, right? So if I want to test it by using a median, then what you have to do? Here, first of all, I have to take a data, but I have to arrange the data in the ascending order. Now see, in a stat marks, this is an unordered data. Here you have to order it in particular way. And then again, I have to, same thing I have to do with the physics data also. Again, I have sorted the physics data in the ascending order, right? Means while you are trying to test the data by using a median, you have to arrange the data in ascending order. Both variables you have to arrange in the ascending order. And once you arrange in the ascending order, you have to calculate the median. The median says that it is the midmost value, right? Here there may be two possibilities, right? The first possibility is that your observations can be odd or your observation can be even. Now here in my example, my observations are even, 12 observations are there, right? Therefore, I have to calculate the median by using this formula. Which one? If it is an odd, then n plus 1 divided by 2. But if my observations are even, then median is equal to n divided by 2 term plus n divided by 2 plus 1 term divided by 2. Means in this example, my midpoint is n by 2, that is n 64. Means I have to take an average of these two, right? 64 plus 48 divided by 2. This will be a median for statistics. And same way, I have to find the median for the physics also. That is 41 plus 43, 41 divided plus 42 divided by 2. Means I have calculated the median for the statistics also. And I have calculated the median for physics also. Means I have a median of the statistics subject. I have a median of physics. By observing the median, we can conclude or we can test your hypothesis, right? How we can now see how we can make the conclusion. Now see, median is 47, median is 42. So I can make a conclusion here that here the median marks in the statistics are 47 are greater than the median marks in physics. Means 47 is greater than 42. Therefore, the level of achievement of the student is higher in the statistics. Means which hypothesis is accepted here? The null hypothesis is accepted here. It's a very simple. Means by using very simple formula, we can test your hypothesis by using a median. And this is a very simple example I explained to you. What you have to do? What are the two variables are there? First of all, you have to frame what is your question and what is your data. According to that, you have to frame the hypothesis. Null hypothesis you have to frame. At the same time, alternative hypothesis also you have to frame. Later on, you have to sort your both variables in the ascending order. Once you sort the data in ascending order, then you have to find the median. And what is the rule? Keep in mind, while you are testing a particular hypothesis by using a median, you have to keep one rule in your mind is that if the level of achievement is high in the subject for which the median marks is more, means the value of median is more, means that particular variable having the high achievement. Here I am comparing the achievement of statistics and physics. You can check the achievement, you can check anything between the any two variables, right? So here my median obtained for the statistics is more than the value obtained for the physics. Therefore, my null hypothesis is going to be accepted. Means by using a very simple tool, median, we can test the hypothesis. But to get the accurate result, the median central tendency will not be recommended at all. It is just checking an achievement, level of achievement and all these things, the median will be okay. But if you want to draw a very important and informative conclusion on your data, so there I will give you a suggestion, don't use a median. Median will be very suitable for the comparison. But for getting an accurate result, median central tendency will not be suitable to test your data. The another one is that is called as an mode. What do you mean by mode? Mode is nothing but the how many times the repetitions is going to be occurred. Now see, this is one example. Suppose I collected the data from 10 students with their hobbies, right? And hobbies are what? Singing, playing, singing, reading, playing, reading, singing, and reading. This is the very raw data I have, right? What I will do, I will categorize this data, right? Singing, playing, and reading. These three are the attributes in my data. And then I will count the frequency. How many persons, how many students are there? They have an hobbies of singing. So I will quote here 5. How many students are there? They have an hobbies as in playing. How many students are there, they have an hobbies of an reading, right? So I will calculate the the frequency of each one, right? And once you calculate the frequency of each one, by observing the result what you obtained here, you can conclude that from obtained data, from the data what it can be concluded that there are the more students who having the hobbies as in singing. This type of conclusions we can make, but again, this is a not suitable tool for getting an accurate result, right? So here, the another statistical methods you have to use, that is called as a standard deviation, right? The many of students will not be haven't known that what is a formulation of an standard deviation and all these things, right? But it's a very simple. Central tendency is not recommended. Mean, mode, and median is not recommended. But if you are able to find the standard deviation of a particular data, then by using some mean method, we can find out the result of your hypothesis. Here, I have one data and I want to find out whether which method is more effective. Now, first of all, we will try to read this data. A psychologist wanted to find out which method out of two, A and B, is more effective. For this, he taught two separate batches with the method A and B respectively, and then he conducted the test. The test score is given below. See here, this is the method A and this is the method B. This is the result which obtained by using the method A, and this is the result by getting a method B. Now we have to find out that which method is more effective. A is more effective or B is more effective. But you can test it by using median also, but median will not give a more accurate result. So what we will do, we will use a standard deviation. By using a standard deviation, you can find out that which method is more suitable, where method A is suitable, more effective, or method B is more effective, right? So what you have to do, you have to frame the hypothesis first. What is the null hypothesis? Method A is more effective. What will be the null hypothesis? I want to find which is the more effective. Therefore, I cannot say that method A is not more effective. I have to say that if A is not more effective, then definitely method B will be more effective. This is my null hypothesis. This will my alternative hypothesis. And to solve the such type of problem, we have a standard deviation concept is also there. In that, to test this hypothesis, to apply the standard deviation on this data, there is a need of and calculate the mean, standard deviation, and coefficient of variance. It's very, very simple, right? Now see here, to find the mean, there are the different formulas. Discrete type of data having this formula. Group type of data will have this formula, right? And continuous data, if you have a continuous data, then again there will be a different formula to get a mean. But I said you that you have to observe your data is whether it is a discrete, whether it is a continuous, or it is a ungrouped, or it is ungrouped. According to that, you have to find the mean. This is the formula for mean: discrete, grouped, ungrouped. By using this formula, you can find the mean here. Once you are able to find the mean, I apply the formula on that particular data and I find the mean value, right? Now, what do you mean by standard? Here, this is an example. I will share you the PPT. If my data is like this, then my discrete data, then my mean will be like this. Means summation of all these things divided by the n. If my data is like this, then my formula will be like this. I will share you PPT. You can go through this PPT and you can find out the what will be the mean for my continuous data and all these things, right? What do you mean by standard deviation? The standard deviation is the measures of dispersion of a set of from the mean. So now to get in again a standard deviation, again there are the different formulas are here. The formula to get the standard deviation, this is an one formula, and this is an another formula also. This is an second formula also. See, formula is very, if you quote your values in the formula, easily you can find the population standard deviation and sample standard deviation, right? For population, the little bit my formula will be differ, and for sample standard deviation, my formula will be differ. Here, the my standard deviation will be for the population. Here, my standard deviation will be on a sample. So you have to find out little bit for this data, which type of standard deviation you have to find out, right? Little bit some technical terms are here, but easily you can find out the standard deviation for group type of data and for ungrouped type of data, right? This is an after that how we can find out the coefficient of variance. Once you are able to find out the standard deviation, we can find out the coefficient of variance also. How we can find the coefficient of variance is equal to standard deviation divided by arithmetic mean multiplied by 100. If you apply the very simple formula, then you will get a relative dispersion, or which is called as a coefficient of variance also. Now see, to get a standard deviation, what is important? Mean is important and coefficient of variance is also important. So now, if you are able to calculate the calculate the mean, standard deviation and coefficient of variance, then you can easily apply the any test on such type of data, right? So here, due to some time constraint, again we have to stop here. But I will continue. I will take in more examples on the next lecture. I will continue with this relative dispersion, and there are the lot of examples are here that help you to test the data. We can use an ANOVA and we can use an chi-square and all these things. But first of all, I will give you some assignment on these basic formulation: mean, mode, median, standard deviation. I hope you all will be complete that assignments on mean, mode, median, and standard deviation. Then I will go with an ANOVA and chi-square test, and another test tools are also available there. So we will go for that. Due to some time constraint, we have to stop here for today's session, because again you have to join at 2 p.m. So we will stop here. We have to again assemble at 2 p.m. But after completing the rest of test, I will share you a PPT. Otherwise, I will modify this PPT up to today's lecture and then I will share to you. Right? Any doubt? Participant? I will give you some assignments, right? So I'm ending my session.